Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight? Welcome. It's nice to see a lot of people. We're trying to keep the air conditioner down to 38 degrees, but unfortunately it's not working that well, so we're bringing in ice right now with some fans in a few minutes. So. Anyway, good evening. We'll call this meeting to order at 6:33. Again, I'll hit that. Roll call, Mr. Russi.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, sorry. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can stand, please stand, rise. Face the flag over here. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we'll do roll call, Mr. Russi.
Very good. Councilmember Lau.
Present.
Councilmember Crosby.
Here.
Councilmember Carter.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Present.
Mayor Hepburn.
Present. I need to get my eyes on, sorry. Well, that's another tie. Just wait. Anybody need a tie tonight? I've got an extra. You like that better. Well, we have recognition, item 4, recognition of outgoing Mayor Pro Tem Mayor Davis and Councilmember Robin Carter. We go down below.
Mike's up there.
Oh, we got it up there. Do we have plaques? If I could have Councilmember Carter and Mayor Pro Tem Mayor Davis please come down here. As we know that the Councilmember Carter and Mayor Pro Tem Mayor Davis will be leaving us, and that we have a commendation. I'm not going to read the commendation because we have other people that are coming to give commendations also, but I want to hear personally give this to you guys. Yeah, these aren't these numbered? I think they're the same.
I have Robin's signature and she has mine.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Otherwise, we would just sign our own.
And then also the Laverne plaque, City of Laverne, California, presented on behalf of the citizens of Laverne to Mayor Davis, City Council member, in appreciation of 5 years dedicated service and caring leadership to the community and organization, July 18, 2022. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Presented on behalf of the citizens of Laverne also, Robin Carter, City Council member, in appreciation of 13 years of dedicated service, caring leadership to the community and organization, July 18, 2022. Councilmember Carter. Now we have presentations from other officials. Mr. Portantino. My, you've changed.
If only it was him.
Please, come on.
So I'm Marco. I'm with Senator Portantino's office. Robin, I knew you probably, well, I've known all you guys since pretty much my first day of work for the senator over 5.5 years ago. And it's been great getting to know you over the years, the relationship that both the senator and I have with you and the friendship. And just the way that we work so well together. It's been fantastic. And, you know, we want to congratulate you on your retirement. Muir, 5 years, it seems longer than that, which is, for me, it's great to say that.
Is that a good thing?
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. No, but Muir, it's been great to get to know you. The senator really appreciates his friendship with you. And, you know, we just love the way that we work so well with you guys. So on behalf of Senator Portantino, I have 2 certificates here that I would love to present to you guys.
I got it right here.
Congratulations. Thank you.
We do it all in Laverne. Now for a minute with the mayor. Just a second.
But no, most of all, thank you for your service to the city.
Councilmember Holden. How are you this evening?
You know, for check. Hi, my name is Matt Lyons, and tonight I have the pleasure of representing State Assembly Member Chris Holden. And having served on the Pasadena City Council for almost 24 years, he has a deep appreciation for every council member that represents the great cities in the 41st Assembly District, whether you've served a day or 13 years. There's a lot of things that go unseen by the public that council members do on regional boards or meetings that just simply aren't council meetings. And so again, on behalf of the Assembly member, we want to thank you for every single day of service that you had on this council on behalf of the city of Laverne. And looking at some of the more recent accomplishments, almost, I'm not going to say most notably, but the infrastructure enhancement district is going to pay huge dividends for citizens in the future generation of the city of Laverne. And you both have set such a positive tone when it comes to the Gold Line coming to the city of Laverne that I think the city is very well positioned to take everything that they do to the next level as they welcome the regional transportation solution to Laverne and beyond. So again, on behalf of Assemblymember Holden, thank you for all that you do, both seen and unseen. And on behalf of the State Assembly, I'm presenting you with this certificate of recognition, which is a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you, Matt. Now from LA County Supervisors, Vicki, come on up.
Yeah, you can. For so long.
I always have the pleasure of being the last representative for the elected officials. So I am representing LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger, and as my colleague so eloquently expressed, what a difficult job it is to be an elected official, all that you do, all the people you serve, and this is a tiny fraction of what you do. The years of time, the meetings, the listening to good comments and bad comments, so many things that not a lot of people hear about, but working for an elected official, I have learned those things, and my hat is really off to people that run for public office, that stay for 13 years, 5 years. It is not an easy job, and it's not well paid. So I want to thank you on behalf of the supervisor that all you've done, not just for the city of Laverne, but for this community, as was echoed from my colleagues. So I wish you both the best, and I thank you for your years of service. Thank you.
Please come on up. And Supervisor Solis, we have 2 county supervisors now. The sliver of the EIFD, which is the Aero Corridor, is Solis, Hilda Solis, and then Supervisor Barger is the remainder. So please welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. And hi, everyone. Just really briefly, my name is Andrea Moreno. I'm here representing Supervisor Hilda Solis. As many of you know, she recently is now representing a portion of Laverne because of redistricting. So I want to just thank Vicki and her office. They have been amazing partners in helping us navigate our new areas. And so we're very happy to be here in Laverne. And although I didn't get a chance to work with you both, I know that you'll continue to be great stewards of the history that Laverne has continued to have, and I'm sure you'll continue to work with the new folks on council. So on behalf of Supervisor Solis and the First District, I want to commend you for all of your work, and thank you so much, Mayor. The certificates are actually signed double now. So the city of Laverne is very special to the county. double signatures. And so you have, that's right, first and fifth.
Proud of that.
So thank you again, and very nice to meet you all.
Because it has both signatures.
Okay, you get in the middle.
Yep. Just stand up.
Yours is perfect. Straight it up there. There you go. There. Thank you very much. Thank you all. No? I think we'll go back up on the dais. Another round of applause for these two. They've done a great job for our community. We're going to close this section and open up public comment. Anybody wish to speak? What? Public comment for the outgoing council members and Mayor Pro Tem. So we do have one, Kathy Kalusik. Come on up.
I may need an additional minute because Don Kendrick wasn't able to be here tonight, and he did ask me to.
You have the floor.
Thank you. I'm just going to stay all night. Kathy
Not that
Kovacic.
long.
Not at all. It's all pretty concise. So this is from Don Kendrick regarding Robin Carter. Approximately 25 years ago, Robin Carter made the decision to serve our community. Her first act was spending 8 years as an elected Bonita Unified School Board member. With the tragic and unfortunate accidental death of school board member Ed Jones, Robin was asked to fill the term, remaining on Ed's 4-year term, accumulating 9.5 years representing our children and students of our community. But Robin wasn't done. In 2009, she was elected to the Laverne City Council and has spent 13 years serving the residents of Laverne, a total of 22.5 years as an elected official, helping to make decisions to improve the lives of our children and our residents. Robin has served on what I consider one of the most important committees in Laverne, the Youth and Family Action Committee. Most recently, she had chaired this committee, creating programs to enhance the lives of our children at risk. Another committee Robin has served, representing Laverne, is Tri-City Mental Health. This is only one of 2 such organizations in the state of California. She has risen to be chair of the board of directors of Tri-City. This represents Pomona, Laverne, and Claremont. No small feat for the community with the smallest population and the smallest representation on the board. The other significant Laverne representation Robin Carter has made is with the Gold Line Construction Authority and Board of Directors. Robin has been vice chair of this board for a number of years. When the train arrives in Laverne in 3 years, thank Robin for helping to get it here. When Robin was elected in 2009, she came into office at the beginning of the Great Recession. Talk about indoctrination under fire. Decreasing city income, but still trying to provide services to residents. Robin knows that it's the city's employees who provide the services to our residents, and she continuously supported Laverne staff, and with that support, no employee was terminated, the only city around that had that distinction. Robin is not afraid to dig in and work for the betterment of Laverne residents, and has for 22.5 years. She is a consensus builder and team player in helping create a better Laverne. Laverne will miss the high integrity and character Robin Carter brings to our city government and representation of the people. Thank you, Robin, for your untiring service and dedication to Laverne. From Dawn. And this is regarding Mayor Davis. When Mayor Davis was elected 5 years ago to the Laverne City Council, he immersed himself in the understanding of city finances and became probably the best council member in our city finances this city has ever had. When Mayor graduated from Bonita High School and went to Cal Berkeley to study applied mathematics, he was already a step ahead. It is this expertise he brought to the city council and the city of Laverne. Results, Laverne is a very sound financial community. Muir was one of the strongest proponents in gathering the last 3/4 cent sales tax for our city. This increased revenue goes directly to our residents and the service it provides. Since the passage of this proposition, Laverne has been able to improve its services to residents and at the same time provide better financial support to our city employees. When Muir was being interviewed by Edison, an employee who had worked with him in a different company told the decision makers at Edison that Muir doesn't think outside the box. He doesn't even know there is a box. It is this visionary ability that creates dialogue in moving forward in areas that have previously been unexplored and make Laverne that special place we call home. A great example was prevention of Laverne Fire Department from going county. After 1,600 signatures during the pandemic were gathered by residents, Muir came up with the brilliant idea of going to the voters if the city council decided the county proposal was a better option. This allowed all 5 council members to endorse this proposal and move forward with the hiring of a new fire chief. Laverne will miss you, Muir. Thank you for the service and dedication, high integrity, and character you provide in your leadership. That was fun. And quickly from me. I started attending city council meetings regularly around 7 years ago. I didn't know Robin Carter at the time, but I always was impressed with her. Most notably for me was her dedication to keeping our fire department in-house. We were getting very close to moving to the county model when Robin reached out to a group of residents, and she and her husband put together the petition to save our fire department. And our group pounded the pavement and got 1,600 signatures. Look where we are now, an outstanding new chief, and all 3 stations are open. Without Robin, I honestly don't think we'd be here. You are an asset to our city, and I am happy and proud that we've become friends.
Thank you, Kathy.
And for Muir, Muir Davis was an acquaintance of mine back then because we, live in the Old Town area. And I always thought he was a nice person. I didn't know how absolutely brilliant he was until I witnessed him on council. He has worked with our city manager and staff and has come up with several creative solutions that have saved our city millions of dollars. I'm also very proud to call you friends. Robin and Muir, your wisdom and guidance will be missed on the dais, but I'm hoping that you will continue to be involved so we can continue to enjoy our wonderful city. I'm saving seats out here for you. Thank you for your service to our city.
Thank you, Kathy. Anybody else wish to speak on this? Lily.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor, and then especially Mrs. Robin Cotton and Davis Mayor. Even though I was kind of like a top person, come here, always complain for something, and then not really agree with what you vote for. But anyway, I understand because you think that's good for Laverne, and then because you have the serve heart for Laverne, because when you vote for, you think it's the best for Laverne. So I totally understand, and then I really, really appreciate your long years, 13 years, 5 years. So I hope still see you guys in the different community, and then a lot of hard work, and then it's definitely not easy. And then I understand because you're still so young, why you don't continue, because you said it's family issue. So I really appreciate that because I understand, because for me as a mom, I will think my kids is most important for me. So to be a elect official, not good pay, a lot of complaint, and then for the coming 4 or 5 years, right? The 3 new council still will face a lot of tough citizens like me. We will keep coming for the transparency. So just really, really appreciate y'all service. This is the roses from me, my garden. Thank you.
Aww.
Thank you, Lily.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Anyone else like to speak? Mr. Carter.
Thank you. Stand and face my wife. First off, congratulations to the candidates that have secured a seat on the council. I hope your service goes well and that all the council members during the next term as you all serve all of our citizens.
Sorry, you got upstaged by roses. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God, they're
And we can't see her
beautiful.
anymore, but that's fine. Whatever. Keep going.
Robin, you have been serving since we had children. PTA, Little League, ASO, Bonita Boosters, VP, and others, all before you decided to seek office as a trustee for Bonita Unified School District. Winning that election resulted in your first elected position. You also had to resign your Bonita USD position at Ramona once elected. Just another sacrifice you've made for our citizens. Serving 2 terms for Bonita Unified School District and then not seeking a third, only to be appointed to serve the remainder of another term upon the death of trustee Ed Jones. Some of your accomplishments with the assistance of many others was the Sportsplex development, Los Flores pool improvements for joint use with the city of Laverne, Laverne University, and Bonita High School, and supporting and passing of the bond measures with the support of our citizens from San Dimas and Laverne. I have one here on serving the youth, which I'm just going to say real quickly. While you were a school board member, you had a particular situation where a young man was basically going to be sent out of district for an infraction that you thought was inappropriate and would not have helped this young man. This young man, due to your efforts in getting the school district to see it from a different light, was not only able to stay in school under contract, but he graduated and is now a teacher up in Northern California. So thank you for doing that. The other one that came to mind was a Japanese woman who was well above her 70s. Her husband came to you, and she said she missed one element. She already had her master's. She already had her doctorate. She'd already served throughout education and was retired. She did not have her Bonita Unified School high school diploma. So she came to you, and you wanted to make an event. And instead of making an event, they both approached you, husband and wife, and says, absolutely not. We need to do this on the side. So basically you made all the arrangements, took them into a small conference room, we had a small celebration, and you were able to present her a diploma after she had been sent away because she was Japanese. So thank you for doing that also. You were elected to the Laverne City Council in 2009 and have served for 13 years, all with the intention of supporting our youth, citizens, and community. You even retired early from your position with the University of Laverne to spend more time on city elements. You have accomplished much, including improved relationships with BUSD, ULV, mobile home parks, and other community groups. Serving on Gold Line as president and vice president of the Construction Authority and the board of directors, working with Supervisor Catherine Barger on the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, and I think that's just EIFD for everybody's English, correct?
Much easier.
As vice chair. The removal of Alphabet Page Camp from consideration of use for violent criminals and expansion with the assistance of the entire council, staff, and involved citizens. And even though neither of us have military background, your support for the military families have been extensive. This even included a small issue of correcting the name of one of our World War II veterans that had been misspelled on the memorial plaque at Veterans Hall. Maybe not a big thing to others, but very important to that individual and his family. The small things you accomplished meant a lot to these individuals, including the In God We Trust sign that is above this council now. Mayor Davis, thank you for the time and expertise that you brought to the council. Your financial acumen has left the city in a financial position that will serve it well currently and into the future, hopefully. Robin and Muir, the donation of countless hours of preparation, study sessions, phone calls, emails, and on and on and on, has brought me deep respect for your efforts and outcomes. Robin, the decision to not seek an additional term was challenging. Knowing the importance of family to you and how much you were assisting our daughter with her cancer treatment, I think your heart and mind have led you to the proper decision. I am proud of the way you juggled your schedule to get her to treatments, babysitting, food prep, while still attending your meetings. Almost a quarter of a century of elected service should be acknowledged and praised, for only individuals that have served in the seats you have occupied can understand the devotion and challenges required to do this service. Here is something from me for your dedication and achievements. This is a bouquet of 24 roses. I am presenting you one rose for each of the 23 years of elected service you have given to our community. The 24th rose is to memorialize the future we will now be able to share together with family and traveling, and sincerely look forward to the time we now have. And
Stop! You're killing me.
And if you would double the 24 to 48, that is the number of years we have been married. Coincident? I think not. All my love to you, Robin.
We got to see you, Rick.
It's okay. The flowers look so much prettier tonight.
Anyone else wish to speak? Ms. Beauchamp, come on up. Those are beautiful.
Good evening, Council and Mayor Hepburn. I want to say thank you to both of these that are exiting the Council. Although I rarely agreed with the decisions that you made on this Council, people don't know how much reading is involved. Until I got seriously involved attending these meetings on a regular basis and printing out these packets that are 600 pages plus sometimes, and reading all of those documents, plus all of the other committees that you're involved with, I want to thank you for that. I also want to especially thank Robin Carter, because having the courage to break the old boys club, you and Donna Redmond were the first women elected to this council, so that is to be commended as well. So thank you very kindly for your presence, and wish you the best in the future.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Is anybody on? Yeah. Mr. Allison.
I wasn't going to say anything because how can you follow that? But
Do you have roses?
I don't have roses. I don't have anything written. I don't know. But tomorrow morning I would regret not recognizing the leadership of these two great people. Robin, I first met you on the homeless committee, and like I sat there next to you, like how can another person think so astronomically different from me? I had no idea how we can see the world from two different sides. And have two completely different perspectives. This gets positive. In that meeting, you really taught me that leadership is not about having your ideas and forcing those ideas through. Leadership is about listening. And in that meeting and through that process, you listened a lot. And over the years since then, I've seen you listen a lot. And I've seen you care, and I've seen you express empathy, I've seen you express kindness, even in circumstances where I don't know how you did it. You're challenged in ways that I don't think is fair, I don't think is dignified, nor do I think is respectful. But you continue to rise to the occasion. And I think that leadership is powerful. Your 23 years of service, I think, is a model for young people in this city to know that they can get in, buckle in early, and then have a real sustainable role in the leadership of this community. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Mir, my man, I saw you at a forum, and I thought, I have to volunteer for this guy. I have no idea. I wasn't even into white candidates then. But I heard you speak, and I heard your pragmatism and the amount of care that you had for the community. And I thought I had to get out and volunteer for you. And I think it was one of the best political decisions, despite running for office myself, that I think I've made, because your leadership has left a profound mark on this community. I came to understand your intellectual capacity, and I think that's what made us friends. But as I got to know your heart better, I think that's what made us brothers. And I thank you for your model. I thank you for the lessons that you've taught through the way that you've lived your life, through the lessons that you've imparted from the dais, from the rationale that you've experienced and expressed with the issues that have come before you. And I think that leadership is hard to replicate. So I thank you. And as always, I got your back. We got a lot more experiences and adventures to go on together, but thank you for your service. Thank you for the legacy you leave on the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allison. Mr. Neely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Council members. It's an honor to be here. Today I come not just as representing Hillcrest, but my own family. we've lived in Laverne 24 years, so that just kind of rings true. Very grateful for the service. There is no perfect city council member, but there are people with perfect intentions. I've been watching how you have both operated in this arena, which has been very difficult. External factors, internal factors, none of those were your fault, but how you dealt with them during very difficult public outcry was admirable and exemplary. I remember Robin attending a city council meeting where she voted against the group, which is not easy. And Amira Davis is an independent thinker too, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful. I hope that continues. Not that we want contention. I think you can be of different opinions without being contentious, and you've showed us how to do that. And I'm grateful, and I hope that everyone will vote their conscience for what is best for the city, which I have seen you do. And I look forward to the service of those who are going to come in and replace you. And in the last moment, I'll just share that in my role at Hillcrest, we have many residents from Hillcrest here today. I see generations of people. We have a former mayor's wife and family here, and her son is going to be taking a seat on this stand. And there are generations in our city of people of influence, and I'm very grateful for the time that you have spent to be a part of this significant chapter of this great city, and look forward to the future being better because of the service you've rendered. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Any other public comment? Yes. Sherry, come on up. Is she? Okay.
And it's not about the truck. That'll come later.
I know she wants money. It's okay.
I do. It's true. I would like to deeply thank the members of the Laverne City Council and welcome the recently elected new members to leadership in our city. To the mayor and members of the council who served and continue to serve, I am aware of your many accomplishments and will be forever grateful for your steady and responsible leadership. Words like encouragement, logic, competence, accessibility, reason, and caring come to mind. To our newly elected city council members, I welcome you as Laverne's future community leaders. We learned a frightening lesson more than a year ago when our national democracy was threatened during a fragile time of leadership transition. This is a time to lean in and not pull away. It is a time to listen with heart as well as with mind. It is a time to support all city residents, including those who are not as publicly engaged, but are just as important and valuable to our community. Thank you for your time and your dedication.
Thank you, Sherry. Yvonne?
Hello, good evening. I just want to say to Councilmember Carter and Muir, I want to thank you for being strong voices and for always doing what's best for all of us. I thank you for giving so much of yourselves in service. I want to thank you both for welcoming me personally into the city. I always thought that was really awesome and really encouraging me. You've both really been a big inspiration to me to get involved and do what's best for the city. I look forward to seeing you both around town. I look forward to seeing you both staying involved and keeping us all accountable. You truly have been an inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Anyone else from the audience? Public comment? Nobody on the board up there? No hands raised? We're going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it up to the dais for council members to have their thoughts. Mr. Crosby.
Thank you. I first met Robin 23 years ago when I was a brand new teacher, and she was on the school board. And her inspiration of service, when I first was thinking about running, Robin reached out to me and sat down with me and really gave me encouragement and motivation. So really, really do appreciate all you've done for everyone. And sitting on the YFAC committee, I got to sit on it when I was assistant principal, and really got to learn about you. But then sitting on this past 2 years with you, you're a true inspiration for what you do for the city, the students, and all the families of Laverne. So really appreciate that. And Mr. Davis, you first told me when I was thinking about running for office, this is the loneliest board that you'll ever sit on. And it truly is, because we cannot speak about what we're doing to each other because of the Brown Act. But just you became a colleague, and both of you became friends. And that's what means the most to me. So I appreciate your service and appreciate you being on council with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosby. Councilmember Lau.
I think we must have had some of the same conversations. So just sub in, myself or Rick, but Robin, I think, the world of everything that you've done for the city. And I think, to echo Danita's point, it is not an easy row to hoe when you are one of the first females to make that foray into elected office in a city that hadn't seen a woman in elected office for a number of years, many years. So to be one of the first is obviously a huge accomplishment, and I look up to you for that, and I appreciate all the time that you spent when I was considering running, even when I was saying, no, I'm not going to run. So I thank you for all your insight, your advice, your guidance. It's been phenomenal. And so it's been a really humbling experience, but also a really awesome experience to be able to serve with you, and I will miss you on this dais. But I hope to see you out in the crowd, and I hope to see you around town.
We will.
So, okay. And Mr. Davis, you said the same thing to me, that this is the loneliest board I will ever serve on. And having served on many boards and continuing to serve on many boards, you are right. Because I think there are many a times when we've all said, this would be so much easier if we could just get together and have a discussion about this, but we can't. So thank you for being that voice, being a sounding board, being someone who has always had an open door to say, I've sat where you sat. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I think that's, I hope that we can provide the same sort of sounding board to our newly electeds who are coming in, because I know that made a world of difference for me personally, because it isn't an easy job. And you think you know what you're getting into, and then you don't. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate being able to have good conversations with you, and I will miss you as well on this dais. But I expect to see you around, and I expect to be able to actually now go have grab a beer and hang out. So,
now?
Wow. Let's go. Everybody, it's on him. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll buy. Well, thank you, and thank you. Councilmember Carter, we've known each other for a long time, and our meeting was actually on the Bond Oversight Committee with Benita.
Yes.
When we pulled us in on that, and we were able to keep them straight, and also the Benita High School, and making sure that everything was done under construction. So you can thank Robin's fortitude and vision. Also, as her husband said, the Gold Line, it wouldn't be where it's at without Robin and her partners with the Gold Line and the Gold Line Authority. I will say a little story that we were, if you notice on Benita, if you're part of Benita High School and you've been there, there's a new snack bar on the south side of the high school. And we had a little youth sports council meeting. This was a couple years ago. And Robin and I are sitting there and going, well, we can't do the snack bar. And Robin and I looked at each other and said, oh, yes, you can. You can do the snack bar. And a few months later, all of a sudden, we found money for the snack bar. And this is for our kids. And Robin's been 100% with youth. And that's a testament to you. And we both have the same vision on that. And we built the snack bar, and they're using it now, so it's wonderful. So there's too many accomplishments. You've been on the school board, you've been on council, and I appreciated your knowledge and your forward-looking, and we've done some great things. Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, my financial guru over here. We have clashed many times on how we get to the point, but at the end of the day, We made some great decisions. Our city is a much better place for that. He's with me on the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments. Although I was very busy with that, he didn't get a chance to do it many times, but he was right there in the back whenever he needed to be. But I think that also on his active transportation committee, especially with the GO line and his forward-looking on that for mobility for our residents to be able to bike, ride, walk safely in Laverne and have the proper things put in place for us, like our Gold Line Bridge. Very much of an advocate for that. So, again, and I appreciate your service. You've done a heck of a job, and you will be missed. You will both be missed. Thank you both for your service. Now, comments from Councilmember Carter and Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Okay, we're going to lighten this up and do something special. Thank you for all your And Don could not be here tonight, but I thank him for his service too. But now we need to have the three of you stand, be recognized, Tim as mayor, Wendy and Rick for your first term. Even though you're still serving, you never got to get the attention that you deserve.
Oh, we did. We got to see our family out like a fishbowl.
But it was raining.
It was raining. Thank you.
Okay, before I start, a couple comments I have. I wanted to make sure everybody, when you came in the door, you saw the display over in the back corner of the special chair with the plaque next to it. We placed that today. All that wood was made by Don Kendrick and donated. We worked, Bob and I and Don met when Don presented to us a proposition that this is something that we should do. There's some in different capitals across the country, and we wanted to have it here. You know, we all support our military, and is it not working? It's not working. Well, I'm loud, I'm told. Can you all hear me? Oh. Okay.
Robin, we'll let you take that home with you.
Is this better?
There you go.
Can you hear me? Okay. So anyhow, Don Kendrick built all that display. He hand-carved it, built it from scratch. If you notice above the chair, there's a picture of an eagle with his head bowed. That is for all the missing MIA and POWs that are out there. And so we wanted to honor them, have it here in our council chambers, and then every Memorial Day and Veterans Day, that will be placed at our services over at the Veterans Hall. So please, give recognition, say a prayer as you pass by, and I thank Don Kendrick for that beautiful display. Okay, I'd like to first then, under my comments, congratulate Steve Johnson. You want to stand, Steve? And Cash, where are you, Cash? And then the re-election of Tim Hepburn. Congratulations. I want to wish you the best on the council, and I know, Steve, you and I served together for the first 2 years I was on, and the only advice I want to give you is remember your spouses. You don't realize how much time your family gives up for you to serve. So, and I know you know, Tim, but it's just, we couldn't do it without the support of your families, and so I thank the families that are involved, and of course, my husband, but I'll do that in a minute. Okay, History of moving to Laverne is very special to us because we were 23 years old. I was pregnant with my second child, and we were looking for a new home in a nice community. We drove through Laverne and fell in love with it and bought our second home in Laverne. And ever since we've stayed here, we've lived here 43 years. My son just turned 43, and it's a community, as you all feel, a loving community that we all want to, give our time and efforts to make it even better. We care about one another. People are kind. People care and will make a difference in your lives as much as their own. After I lived here just shortly, a couple years, Craig Walters was very young. He was running for city council. Bob and I wanted to get involved, so we worked on his campaign. And that was my first, campaign to work on, and it was really interesting. And he did win. And I thought, wow, that's really, interesting. Somebody giving that much time to the community. And so I followed him. Shortly, about 5 years later, I was asked to be the interim director at the Chamber of Commerce. I was working there, and one of our council members, newly elected at that time, and I'm not going to say names, was walking by and wanted to say hi to me in the chamber. And so I was telling him, thank you for your service, but, this is something I'd like to do one day, is run for city council. He looked at me, shook his head, and said, a woman would never win in our city. It's a man's community. And I was shocked, and I thought, okay, well, I kind of just kept that in the back of, my head thinking, well, okay. So then I worked for Ramona, got on school board. That was a treasure to me. Working with our kids, our youth, is just amazing. Then after I was just going to serve 2 years, stepped down, but then as they said, very good friend of mine, Ed Jones, had an accident over a cliff in San Dimas, died. I truly had a calling that I needed to fulfill the rest of his term, so I did for 2.5 more years. We hired a wonderful superintendent. Most of you knew Gary Rapkin, wonderful man. But 2 years later, he came to me, and he was the first to tell me that Blickenstaff was not going to rerun, that I need to. And at that time, I really wasn't thinking of running, but I thought about it, and then I did. And one thing anyone running for election knows, it's timing. Everything is timing, and it was perfect timing. This has truly been my pleasure serving this community. I have worked with some of the best council members, and it's very special to me. Charlie, you're right in there with it. And I have made lifelong friends with all of you. Thank you all so much. You've heard some of my highlights. Thank you very much of what I felt were very important in this community. And the Veterans Memorial is very special to me. I've never served, no one in my family, but my brother-in-law did. But once the committee was being formed, I wanted to be a part of it, because any way that we can recognize our military for their service that they've given, we need to all do that. And we live on this land free, and we get to enjoy the benefits because of their hard work in their lives. And so I'm proud to be a part of that, and will continue to be a part. Because I'm stepping down from here does not mean I'm not going to continue giving to our community. There's still quite a few committees I'm still on, and I will be at council meetings once in a while when there's topics that I'm interested in that I feel we can make a difference. And so do know that if you ever need me, call me. I'll be there, and we're right here in town. This "In God We Trust" was very important to me. My religion is very important to me, and I feel when I started to do the research, who can't have prayers over us? We need that. We're working to make a difference, and it's not always easy. But what does it hurt? And a lot of the different, money all has in trust, in love, in God we trust, and other areas. So I felt that was very important. So I'm honored that that is hanging up in our council chambers. As it was said, it was so wonderful when we decided that, I was worried with my husband that what's going to happen to our community, that 5 people, even though I'm sitting up here, I'm one of them, 5 people are going to decide what's going to happen to our public services, such as, the fire department. And To have us go county by the vote of just 5, I did not feel that was fair. I felt the community needed to vote on that. So we decided to put a little petition together, and it was during COVID, the worst time, but we knocked on doors and asked people, look, we only have a couple weeks here to do this, but we need to let the council know how we feel. Are you interested in signing? We got 1,600 signatures in 2 weeks. And there was a committee that went out and got these. And I thank the committee out there that went around, got the signatures. It shows that how much people care. And I brought it to the council for a discussion. And thank you, Mayor. You made that suggestion that any decisions going forward with public safety, that public services safety, it will go before the voters. So thank you for that. I don't want to miss anything, so, Gold Line is always going to be very special to me. I got on it before we even started this phase, and Gold Line is coming. Our police department is right on top of how we're going to deal with the homeless. There's not a simple solution, but they are, working with other cities to see what they've done. And I feel this is going to be a true benefit to our city, and especially the university. For the students to come to the university on the Gold Line will be so great for them. So whoever serves on the Gold Line after myself, please, remember, fight hard for Laverne. And our station's being built right now, and we can I'll enjoy it in a couple years. 3 years, it's going to be all ready to come through Pomona. I want to thank all my friends and supporters who helped with the campaigns over the years. I have ran 5 successful campaigns between school district and city, and each one was a joy. The support and friends that I have made throughout it, I thank them, and each one of you that was a part of it. To the staff, I can't say enough about our staff. To the newly elected, please take the time, understand our staff. They're the doers. They're the ones getting the work done here. Trust in them, believe in them, talk to them, and understand where they're coming from. But it's so important to let them do the job. We are here to not micromanage. We're here to make sure that the process is moving forward. Every department I have gotten to know over the years, and I thank everybody for their friendship, I'm really trying not to cry, and all that has been done. We've worked together for the betterment of Laverne, and I really think it's made a difference, and I treasure every staff member that we have. Thank you very much, all of you. To Bob Russi. You are very special. I was part of hiring you. And I came into your office the day when you announced that you were going to go for the position. Marty was stepping down. And I told you I was used to school board where actually you still have the, have the interviews to decide, and hear from others. But you had all the qualities. And I asked you, tell me why I should just, hand this position to you. And you had the answers. Marty had the answers that you were the right man. You have been. We've worked together as a team with the past council and this council, and you're visible. You've done everything we've asked to be seen out in the public. You're great with the budget, and I truly treasure our friendship too. So, like I said, these are friendships that will last a lifetime. I thank you. Now, to my husband and family. First, I want to make sure you all know, even though we went through cancer with my daughter this past year, she is cancer-free, and it was a long time, throughout that year. It felt longer than a year, but we got through it, and I'm so proud of my daughter, her kids, her husband. Even my son from Michigan kept coming out, supporting her, and he one day wanted to take her to City of Hope. And I thank you all for your prayers, for your love and support. To my wonderful husband, Robert, you not only stood behind me throughout these 22 years of service, you pushed me, to say, push yourself, go do things, get involved. And you I consider you now standing next to me, not behind me, and we are a team, a partner. 48 years of marriage, we are, moving forward on the next stage of life. We get to enjoy each other, and I can't thank you enough. I love you, and thank you for everything you do, and I look forward to the next chapter of our life. Thank you, everyone, very much.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand what Thomas was saying. The Carters are a hard axe to follow. I want to join Robin, though, in congratulating the newly electeds. You'll get recognized a little bit more, so I won't embarrass you a second time out of 3. So I'll just recognize you and thank you as you're sitting. I want to thank the residents and the supporters who helped me get into this position in the first place. And actually, one of those that you'll be surprised to hear about was Steve Johnson was the first one who suggested that I run for council in 2009 when John Blickenstaff was stepping down. At that time, my children were young, in middle school, elementary school, and high school, and I thought that the commitment, little did I know, but there was a tiny bit of wisdom there saying maybe the commitment for city council is a little too large with a family so young. So it was 8 years later in 2017 that one was off to college, one was in high school, and one was in middle school. I said, well, this will be a convenient time. And so I ran for city council thanks to Steve Johnson planting that seed in my head in 2009. So thank you for that, Steve. I appreciate it. Having served on many boards, corporate boards and other types of nonprofit boards, as you know, the biggest shock I had joining this board was how lonely it was. And that's what I shared with anybody who asks me about joining city council. It is shocking. It took me a little while, but Mr. Russi, I finally learned that he was my conduit for information. Growing up in corporate America, you learn that when your boss asks you for something or when a peer asks you for something, you go do the research and you bring back a well-thought-out explanation and argument for whatever position you're taking. With our council coming up with decisions, I was trying to run around and figure out what I could learn, what I couldn't learn outside of this body to bring to the body. And what I learned on council was that I needed to bring my openness, my interest, and my thoughts to the information that was being provided by the body and through the city council or through the city manager and largely from staff, because most of these ideas were staff driven. So I want to thank everybody who supported me, who supported my campaign. I had 2 different campaign managers in my short term. But I'm proud of my campaign, and I'm proud of what we accomplished both in campaigning and while I've been on council, and any shortfalls in any of those areas are my own. I was the one who was limited and not able to prevail in this last election. Second section I want to talk about is what I've learned and what I've experienced here on council. I've learned what to focus on and what not to be distracted by. There's a lot to be distracted by on council because you have 30,000 people that you're interested in hearing from. And you have staff that's interested in talking to you, and you have other council members who are trying to get information to you or from you, and which is good, but it's also limited. So you're limited on how much exposure you can have in all sorts of areas. But what I did learn primarily from being in corporate America, where the stock market was driving senior executives and boards to look shorter and shorter term into the next 90 days, that as a staff person, it was hard for me to think out 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years if my senior executives were looking at 90 days, 180 days, and 365 days. So what I took to that for this council was to make sure that at least my vision was looking at 3 years at the earliest, or 5 years, or 20 years, that the day-to-day work that was being done by this staff, championed by our city manager, Bob Russi, supported by legal counsel and other staff, is that we have departments here and people here who, when they're able to do their work without concern of a board council, of a city council, they can make the real magic happen. And that's really what has made Laverne so special, is the fact that we've had staff that have had the freedom to make decisions to help make Laverne better, because 5 people don't make Laverne better, 8 people don't make Laverne better, 160 plus employees make Laverne the special place that Laverne is. So I appreciated the fact that I was able to recognize my limitations and needing to get out of their way and make sure that I was looking at a long position. So the vision for and from council is really imperative. Lastly, the advice I have for council coming in and for the council staying. Continue to work together in helping residents, and continue to work for those things that help bring our residents together. It's important that those things that divide us will divide us and will be caustic and toxic to the city. And we need to resist those activities and making sure that we work better in community and for each other. Keep your eyes on the future and let management take the day-to-day effort. Also, don't take our current model of governing for granted. That's the one thing I've learned, and has actually made me even a more religious person than I was when I came on council. In the last few years, we have seen more distrust and cynicism about government, about attempts of unfair elections, false claims, worsening political polarization, the worst we have seen since the Civil War. We have seen setbacks on issues of gun violence, women's rights, LGBTQI rights, and minority rights. Christian doctrine, I am Christian, affirms the omnipresence of God. And it also causes me to think about the practical meaning of that. For me, Jesus is about love. And that was the primary spiritual principle that he promoted. God's love included our enemies as well as our fellow citizens and residents. It embraced the poor as well as the wealthy, and the forgotten as well as the privileged. Accordingly, God's presence and action are to be understood primarily in terms of love. And these actions of the council need, in my eyes, need to follow that. The only power from this perspective that God embodies is loving power, and this must ultimately include everyone, not just a select few. There are no outsiders to God's love. So I leave this council filled with love and joy, and I anticipate that I will remain engaged as an elder statesman now that I'm no longer on the dais. Thank you very much.
Thank you both very much. Mr. Russi, post-election procedures.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Now is the time for council to take action as it relates to the election of June 7th, 2022, and declaring the other matters as provided by law. So what council should do is confirm the canvassing and the election results that have been provided. And based on those, the 3 candidates that will be seated here tonight are Stephen Johnson for District 1 for a 4-year term that will run until June of 2026. There will be Michelle Cash, and I'm probably not going to try and do that to the last name. I hope you don't mind.
Califagia.
Yes.
It's easy. Good enough.
To District 3 for a 4-year term until 2026, and Tim Hepburn to District 4 for a 4-year term to June of 26. What we need now is for this council to take a motion and a second on this, and then we will swear these individuals into office.
Motion, please.
I move that we accept or adopt Resolution 2241, reciting the facts of the Consolidated General Municipal Election held on the 7th day of June 2022, declaring the result and other such matters as provided by law.
Second? Second. Vote, please. Is there something wrong? It really really was a good election.
Oh.
There, come on, that's up. Well, that motion carries.
No, hang on a second. We'll take a break in a second.
We have to hang.
You have to hang.
I was ready to run.
What do we have? Are we okay? Okay. Now what I'd ask is Luby Estrella, our city clerk, is here to swear in the 3 new members of council. So Mayor Hepburn, if you would make your way down there, and then the other 2 candidates, if you would make your way to the front. Yes, please.
Okay. I'll ask you the microphone later.
What?
Forget.
First of all, I would like to congratulate all of you for your election and being on the city council. So I'm going to have the pleasure of administering your oath. Okay, so I'm going to say the oath, and you're going to repeat it after me. Okay? Well, I'm going to go when I would ask you to state your name one at a time.
Okay.
I,
Stephen Johnson.
I, Tim Hepburn.
I am Saul Casablanca.
now all together, please, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter as follows. Okay, sorry about that.
Say that fast.
Okay, we got Councilmember Steve Johns, who was elected to District Number 1. We have Councilmember Cash. Do you mind if I call you Cash? District 3. And Councilmember Tim Hepburn to District 4. Now we're going to move to call for nominations for mayor.
No, we're going to take a break.
We're going to take a break. Oh, recess. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead here.
This is the musical chairs part.
Okay, recess.
Recess, everyone.
Me too.
A Sharpie, typical Johnson. Okay. Yes, sir. We're ready, Mr. Russi.
Reconstituted council, now that we're out of recess, the first order of business, and that's why the city clerk is here, is to the selection of a mayor and a mayor pro tem. With that, I will turn it over to Luby Estrella.
Okay, welcome everyone. Now we get to nominate a mayor. I'm going to call for nominations from the city council. Do we have any nominations?
I would like to nominate Mayor Tim Hepburn.
Do we have any more nominations from the floor? Okay.
I'd like to second that.
All right then. Can we have a vote, please?
Center is yes.
Towards me. No, not that way.
Well, maybe he wasn't no. Nomination then no.
Nancy.
Sorry. Wow, I've seen that look before.
To be clear, say those.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, there was a vote of 5-0, and our new mayor is Tim Hepburn.
Now sit down. Everybody sit down. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. Thank you, Council, for your trust in me. I do appreciate that. I will not fail you. Thank you very much. Next.
Selection of Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem. Do we have a nomination for Mayor Pro Tem?
I nominate Rick Crosby.
Second?
I'll second that.
Vote, please. You can get it. There you go. Leave him on. Leave him on. Don't touch him. Congratulations, Mr. Crosby. Okay. We're at announcements, aren't we?
No, you're actually in comments of...
Oh, I'm sorry. Comments for incoming council members and mayor. Mr. Kashifalgita, would you like to?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. I won't make it too long. No, it's kind of getting hot in here. But I'd first like to thank God for giving me the opportunity to continue my service. I grew up in this city. My father, that was just here, could tell you when I first came to this city, we went to where Amber Ridge was. The apartment used to be called Family Tree. When we started there. It's amazing how my life became a full circle. I will continue to do good. I'm a commissioned officer in the United States Army. Hold that close and dear to my heart. I want to thank my wife for always been there for me since day one. I've always put her through so much. Through wars and back and forth, my wife stood strong, and I appreciate you, and I thank you. I thank my children and my family and my friends. I will never fail you. I will always do what's right, and I always will do good. I always have people watching me. I have my mom watching me from heaven. So I know she'll do something to me. I don't do anything wrong. Sorry, Mom. I wish you can be here today, but I know you're in the hands of our Lord. I am forever faithful. So I thank you. Please give me the opportunity to serve you. Please give me that chance. And I will show you what we can do. I just want to make this city best I can. So thank you so much. And with that, I'd like to give my lovely wife, Nancy, this great, beautiful bouquet, which I thank you very much.
It'll now be known as Cash. Thank you, Cash.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Johnson.
Oh, deja vu. I think I've been here before. I really would like to thank all of the supporters who helped me get elected this time. I really need to thank my family, my lovely wife, Lori, my son, Trevor, Stephanie, and Kenny. I appreciate everything that you've done to help me get here. Again, there's so much more as far as the people that endorsed my campaign. I appreciate everything that everybody has done. And Lori, you twisted my arm to come here again. So I don't want to hear any complaining about late nights or any of that stuff, okay? I love you, and I've got some flowers for you. Just
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I guess it's my turn. I want to thank my wife. Without, did you lose this earring, honey? Oh, just checking. I thought it was bigger. I'm sorry. First of all, I want to thank my wife and my family. They put up with me doing this and always asking me, "Why are you doing this again?" I said, "Well, I'm not done yet." So, number two, I want to thank all of my supporters. And that's across the board. And many of you are here right now. Thank you all for supporting me. Thank you for the other individuals, my other council members that supported me also, Cash and Steve Johnson, and all the families. And I will not disappoint any of you, and we will work well as a team, and we will unite and do good things for the city. And the most important thing is making sure that our residents are heard and making sure that we treat everyone fairly and work well with our employees, which we do have, as Mr. Davis stated, some great employees in the city. Very proud of that. And our outgoing city manager, we make a great team. It's not always perfect. Life is not perfect, but when you turn at an angle that you can't get to, you must turn around and find another direction, and we've done that. So our city's healthier. But again, I thank my wife, my children. Nick is here, Kristen, Bodie, my grandson, Ruben, my son-in-law, I've got Shannon, my new daughter-in-law to be, thank God. Nick's got a partner finally. If I could just keep Nick without getting hip surgeries, but other than that, we're good. But Starks, Andersons, Pam Berry, Kathy and Joe, the Fotts, the Johnsons, you name it, all these people in this crowd, the Fords, I'm missing people, but thank you all very much, and I promise you I will not fail you. We will not fail you. So, on that, Patty, I have some flowers for you. And a bigger earring. Okay. This is what they're talking about when you have to read, right here. This is really fun reading on Saturday morning. Your dog's sitting on the couch next to you and you have your third cup of coffee. Now, Mr. Russi, we are at, where are we at? Oh, announcements. I'm sorry. Do we have announcements right now? Announcements not, yes. Please come up. Oh, it was Sherry. Sherry's got one too.
Yes.
Does she have one here?
Good evening. I'm Barbara Smythe from Hillcrest. I'm kind of an adopted resident of Laverne because I moved to Hillcrest and I fell in love with the town. And I really wanted to thank the city council members, and I have thanked the other two that left. But I wanted to share with you a project that I've been involved with for probably 7 or 8 years, starting out telling the story of Laverne and emphasizing older adults, our elders, telling those stories through the focus of transportation, how it grew in this city, community service, commerce, education, all of the things that make up a city. And we had like a museum quality in rainbow colors for third graders in our school district, and they came over to Hillcrest to see it and hear the storytellers. That became impossible with COVID, and my concern was, how are we going to continue to tell the story of Laverne to our children so that they know all of the elements that went into making this city, the people that worked hard to make the city what it is, and for them to grow with respect and appreciation for their city and understand that they have responsibilities to serve their community as you have done. And we decided to do a video. And so each one of the elements, transportation, community service, and so forth, were done in a video with an elder telling their story and their experience with that element. And it was accepted by the school district, and our third graders saw it this spring. And if you would like to see the 8 elements, which included Charlie Rosales telling about being an adopted son, it's on the history.
It's on our website under, I think it's our events and podcast page.
And by her possessiveness, you know she's talking about the Historical Society. So so if you're interested in seeing that, what I'm giving you tonight in appreciation for your service is a handbook that we put together for teachers. Obviously, you're not going to be teaching the class or showing the video, but what it has in it is for each one of those elements is a historical outline from the early 1800s to the present in small paragraphs. And to get a bunch of PhDs to do small paragraphs is a miracle. So anyway, for each one of you, thank
Thank you very much. I heard this is pretty incredible. If anybody gets a chance to go online, this is pretty amazing. It's got some major, major stuff here in our community, and it's done very well. So if you get a chance, please go online and check this out. Thank you very much.
The other thing that I wanted to share with you, you think I never leave, but you've had hours here, so it's my turn.
You have all the time you need, please.
Thank you.
Are you done?
I'll try to conform to that. As you probably know, because we've announced it before, Hillcrest has been very involved in DEI activities, really working toward diversity and inclusion. And we have a welcome room that we change every 3 months, focusing on a group that maybe is not as well known to the majority as others. Sometimes it's the majority. Right now, the gallery is going along with the welcome room, and we're proud to announce the Splendor of Asia, an inspiring exhibit highlighting the vast cultural and religious art of Asia. And we'd like you to come and experience the brilliant and colorful array of Asian art and artifacts on loan from the Cultural and Natural History Collection at the University of Laverne. We are so grateful to them. And to two private individuals, June Pulcini and Kent Badger, who have absolutely glorious collections of their own. So they're all on exhibit. Have a flyer for each of you. And we do have a reception that I'll come and remind you about in August 25th. So I'm probably not obeying protocol here.
You're doing just fine. Thank you.
Anyway, we'd love to have you come see it. I'm very proud of it. And I think our reception will be special. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sherry?
Yeah, this is where I asked for money.
Sherry, did you see the 40? Sherry, you have. Did you happen to see the cash I had on the counter here, Sherry? I know that you're eyeing it all night long.
All gratefully accepted.
I jest, but it's a wonderful cause, and that truck is coming along. They just need money to finish it.
It is, and in fact, this Saturday, because not all of you got to go right up next to the truck and peer inside and find out what was going on with it and where we've spent the money. But this Saturday from 10 until noon, you're welcome to come over to my house and take a look at the truck up close and personal and hear from the project director, who will explain to you in excruciating detail all of the mechanical modifications we've made to the truck. It really is in wonderful shape. We're a little more than halfway there with all of the fundraising and the spending of money and the rest of it. And I will tell you that we would have been probably financially much better off if we had bought a new truck than if we were fixing this truck. But it is the heart and soul of Old Laverne. So do come to our open house and meet the International, which will be in my driveway. It will then go back to Old Anvil Speed Shop, have some more work done on it, and then it'll arrive back at the Bonita High School Auto Shop, where one of the advanced auto shop classes will finish it up. And at that point in time, then I've got to go to the DMV and activate our license. And after that, insurance. So the costs are never ending when you own a vehicle, as you all know. And so come take a look, come have a fun time, have some lemonade and some brownie bites, and meet the truck. So we were thrilled to introduce it to you on the 4th of July, but now you can get a closer peek. So our Save the Truck flyers are up front, and our flyers for this Saturday's event are up front. Help yourselves, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Sherry. George May, did you have any? Nothing on the library? George, seriously. Anybody else for announcements? Ms. Beauchamp.
Many of you may not know that there's still a potential for Camp Afflerbach Page to come back to being utilized for these 707B juvenile offenders. The discussion has been taking place the last few meetings with the City of Santa Clarita lawsuit. They're trying to think of alternatives if that lawsuit, if they get an injunction, where are they going to put the kids in the interim? And so Camp Afflerbach Page is definitely back on the table. I don't know at what level because they're still dealing with a labor dispute for the probation department. But the fact that it's being mentioned is something that needs to be put back on the radar for both the city and the residents. So if you'd like to participate in those meetings, you can email them at info@lacounty.gov. And I'm sure that the city has that information. They can repost it on their website to help the residents get involved again. And as you know, many of us did, and I think that's what helped our cause. So I'm asking that the city and the residents help that again. Thank you.
Thank you, Danita. That's we will search that and find out what's going on, and we'll check in with the supervisors to make sure, and we must keep our eye on the ball at all times. Thank you. I really appreciate you being on there because you've been steadfast on that. So, anyone else? Mr. Crosby.
Yes, our Laverne Little League has done some exceptional things this past week with our senior boys winning state and our girls back-to-back champions as well. They're trying to collect money and a GoFundMe page. Go on to Laverne Little League website to help them out. The girls were selling back-to-back shirts to help raise some money. And last year, Laverne really got around the group and helped them get to the place they need to go to. This year, they're thinking, oh my gosh, this happens every year. No, it doesn't. So we got to make sure and get our kids there. And, talking to the head of the Laverne Little League, our girls softball has a really, really good chance to make the World Series this year. Their games, the girls has a Sunday at 4:00, and
at San Bernardino, right?
In San Bernardino. So make sure you try to support any which way you can. The boys, senior boys, they're talking about even maybe being on ESPN there as well.
They said ESPN for sure.
There we go.
About the GoFundMe, the last time I looked on the girls, they were trying to raise $8,000. They had 2. That was a few days ago, and the boys are 3, and they want to go 10. So, $10. And $5 for the fee. It's nothing. So whatever people can do, it'd be great to assist them. We've just got unbelievable.
And
sports
these teams lead into what we honored tonight, the girls' high school softball team too. Right. These kids are going into them next. So let's keep it going.
There we go. Thank you. Anyone else? We'll move to item 12, consent calendar, Mr. Russi. Do we have anything pulled?
We do not.
Then are there any discussions on council as far as the consent calendar? If not, I'll accept the motion.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second?
I'll second it.
Vote, please.
Left.
Oh, his is right. Mine's left. Mine's left. This is right.
No, those are all left.
Oh.
Mine's
Got it. Yours is right.
I'm the only one that's out. It's always
Thank you very much. Now we move to item 13, public hearings. Is that correct, Mr. Russi?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I will be taking a majority, actually all these items. The first public hearing is an amendment to the fee resolution. As council will recall, back in May, we bring a fee schedule to you every year to update our fees to reflect current costs associated with certain items. At that time, we were still working through the contract for our outside fire inspector, and so we did not have what the actual rates would be. We have now completed that agreement, and so we're bringing back an amendment to the fee resolution to incorporate those changes going forward. Since we contract out to a third party, it's basically the direct costs to the city that are being asked to be captured in those fees. So with that, I ask council to, if they have any questions, otherwise open up the public hearing and accept staff's recommendation to amend the fee resolution.
Any questions for staff? Otherwise, we'll go to public comment. We'll open up public comment. Do we have any public comment on this item? Jared, nothing on the... No. Everybody's energized right now. I think they're exhausted. We'll go out of public comment and up to the dais. So we have any comments from council on this item? I do have one comment. I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate Chief Nig and his staff for bringing up these resolutions. While I don't want to tax everyone to death in our community, but we have to be up to par with what our fees cost and what people have to pay and outside people have to pay, and this will bring us up to par with what we need to do. And I really do appreciate that, because every cent that we make and every cent that we can capture is that much more to fund our beautiful city. So, and making sure our residents have the great services that they have. So thank you, Chief and staff. I read through these with a smile on my face thinking, okay, we're up to speed. And thank you, Mr. Russi, for having great staff and being able to let them do their job. So with that, I need a motion.
And this is 13A?
This is 13A.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Vote, please. There you go. Thank you. Motion carries. Mr. Russi, we go to item, is it B?
Yes.
And we can do, item B, we, Mr.
So what I will do is we're going to take these kind of in a global together.
And then we'll do the ones that Mr.
Yep.
Casciofagita has to leave.
Yes.
Or better known as Cash.
So I will just explain the overarching concept of what this is, and then we'll take the two, and then we will excuse Councilmember Cash and then move on. Okay. So the landscape districts, there are certain segments, areas of the community that have landscape districts that are set up where the individual property owners are charged on their property tax for the work that is being done. That goes about with, consistent with state law, that these particular areas are of benefit, and it's been determined to those individual residences. And so what is required is that the city basically maintains those, but the charges are applied to the benefited properties, and then it's put on their property tax. What's required is that every year you hold a public hearing that allow those residents, if interested, to assess the charges. The engineer has determined the charges that need to be applied. They can only be raised by a certain percentage, and the percentages that are being recommended in, I think it is just in District 7, is within what's allowed under the Articles of Incorporation. I'll describe it. So for District 7 and District 8, we are recommending approval of those, open the hearing, and then approval of those. District 8 does not have any proposed increase in their charges. Once the public hearing is closed, we will then pass the information on to the county, which will then cause these to be added to the upcoming tax rolls.
Mr. Russi, are these typically a homeowners association where?
Not homeowners association.
No?
These are individual single-family residents that are being assessed, so it's on their individual property tax.
So it's on their individual property tax. Are they noticed of this specifically, or is it just the normal agenda that goes?
No, this public hearing, they were noticed of these changes that
Okay.
would be proposed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for staff? We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Anybody wish to comment on this public hearing on these items 7 and 8? With that, seeing none and nothing on the, I'll close public hearing. So bring it back to the dais without any further discussion. Do we have a motion for items 7 and 8?
Yes.
Please.
So moved to approve district number 7 and 8, the special zones in district number 7 and 8.
Second.
Second.
Vote, please. Motion carries. We'll wait and hold for, there we go. Okay, Mr. Russi. So we have to, on the next one, Mr. Cash will have to leave. Is that correct?
So the next two, and on the next item that is on other matters, due to where Councilmember Cash lives, these affect his individual property, so he will have to recuse himself from the vote on these.
We'll call you back in 4 hours. No problem. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just, hey, put the pizza in, would you? Yes, that's fine.
Before we proceed, I just wanted to confirm one thing with the fire tax resolution. I own an office on Arrow Highway. Am I subject to this inspection or the inspection fee? Should I have declared a conflict? Can I do that now?
This was about inspections when we're doing new building.
New building?
Yes, yeah. This
okay.
is, or we're doing reconstruction or something like that. It's a third-party contractor relative to that.
So make it clear.
Yes.
No.
No.
So, thank you.
We'll open up public comment.
Well,
oh, no, you got to explain.
You got to just explain briefly about these. So these are the other two areas. District 6 is comprised of various areas throughout the community. There's one on First and Fulton. There's another on Wheeler and Tabor. There's another one in North Laverne. There's Live Oak. There's Laverne Business Park and Amherst and Fruit. And these are all different zones within District 6. And one of those happens to be the district that Councilmember Cash has a residence in, so it's subject to him. That's why he cannot participate. The second is 84-1, which is the Esperanza slopes, which is the maintenance of that slope for fuel management on an annual basis. So these two are both before you for consideration. The only one in District 6 that is being considered for an increase in the levy is that of not 5, sorry, in District 6, which is proposed for an 8.5% increase, which is still within the allowable increase, but less than the maximum that's permitted.
Okay. Any questions for staff on these before we go to public comment? Any public, we're going to open up the public comment. Any public comment? Don't be so excited. I know these are really exciting. Yes. It's just basically the lighting landscape districts we're talking about. Yeah, so it's just, it's not voting.
Yeah.
Yes, we've removed your home from Laverne.
We added a 6th district.
That was, we added, it will be in Pam's backyard now. Okay, so being there no other further comment, we'll bring it back to the dais. Any other comment from council? And I make a motion?
I'd like to approve Resolution 22-55 and 22-58 for the special zones in District 6 and 84-M.
84-1-M.
84-1, sorry. 841-M.
I'll second.
Vote, please. Motion carries. We're good. Mr. Russi, next in line.
Okay, the next item we have before you is our annual weed abatement clearance charges. And again, because the charges in Cash's HOA, Councilmember Cash's HOA, I'm going to get this right, are affected, it does have a financial effect on him. So as such, he has to recuse himself as well. And I will say that we have the county inspector that is available should there be any questions. But essentially, this process started back in March with the city notifying the residents. There are basically 100+ properties that are on our list that are for at least review for inspection. We then go through a process of determining with the county inspector as well as our fire department if there is a actual inspection, because there are potential for weeds there, and then individuals are given the opportunity to cure them themselves. There were a total of 81 properties that where actual inspections were required, and only 2 of those required the county to go on and do work. They still are required to have these charges attached to their property tax, so that is the reason that you're holding this meeting tonight. The affected residents have been noticed as well, and were made aware of this action being considered this evening.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Any other? Okay. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Ms. Beauchamp.
I don't know if this is a question directed to council or Chief Nig, but Mr. Rusty stated that the residents have been notified. Does that include the owner of Sierra Laverne Golf Course? Yeah, just a quick question, and then I have a follow-up question as well.
Well, go ahead. Yes, they have.
They have been?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know that there have been numerous meetings that the residents have brought that up, and it just doesn't seem like anything has been addressed, and we all know what it looks like. So my second question is there any kind of a chart or some kind of statistics showing that the amount that is collected, how that money is utilized? Is it strictly for fire department services, or does it go to the city, or how exactly do those levies or fines enhance the city at any point? They're just two questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the county inspector did have their hand raised, so I'll let them come in, and then I'll answer the other question. Maybe I'll answer the question.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So regarding the Sierra Laverne Golf Course, I am in constant communication with the manager, Rick Adams. They have gone ahead and cleared the immediate hazard, which is the weeds throughout the golf course. I'm currently working with him in removing all the down trees. So as far as the vacant parcel, there's about maybe 6 to 7 down trees within the 200 feet fire clearance as required. So they have actually until July 27th to make that clearance. Otherwise, the county will go ahead and do it for them.
July 27th.
July 27th. If they don't respond, then the county will step in. Good enough. Thank you.
To answer the other question, the charges that are listed on here are actually the charges that are incurred by the county to do the work. So what is being assessed on the residents is for, and there's only those 2 properties, is for the county to actually go out there and do the work. So it's the county getting reimbursed for their expenses to do whatever clearing was necessary. They were given a certain period of time to do it on their own. Should they not, then the county steps in, and in this case, that's what they've done. It's not necessarily a penalty. Some individuals choose to let the county do it because they have the equipment to do it, or it might be more cost effective. So not necessarily considered as a penalty, just a way that they choose to go about doing their business. Mm-hmm.
Any other on public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment, bring it to the dais. Any other comments? I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the abatement charges.
Second.
I'll second.
Vote, please. Motion carries. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. There we go. Motion carries. Okay. Our next item will be item B, employment agreements for interim city manager and interim senior equipment mechanic, resolution number 2259 and resolution 2260.
I'll take that one, Mr. Mayor.
It's all yours, JR,
you.
Assistant City Manager. Take it away.
Thank you. You might remember, those that were seated on council, that we actually did a couple of these retired annuitant agreements at the last council meeting. For your consideration this evening, I have 2 additional retired annuitant agreements and associated resolutions due to a pending retirement and a recent vacancy that we had in our fleet division. All documents and agreements have been shared with CalPERS to ensure conformance with applicable government code and CalPERS requirements. The first appointment is the result of City Manager Bob Russey's pending retirement. Based on the unanimous direction from the City Council, Jess Duff has been identified as a highly qualified retired annuitant, having served as City Manager prior to his retirement, as well as several interim retired annuitant assignments for other agencies. The second appointment is a result of a vacancy after the city's tenured senior equipment mechanic who specialized in working on our heavy equipment such as fire apparatus left for another agency. Stuart Havlicek has over 30 years of experience providing professional mechanic services to Southern California communities, including as a heavy equipment operator for La Habra and Brea, and was also a senior apparatus technician for the Orange County Fire Authority. Both agreements will be limited to a maximum of 960 hours and will ultimately result in cost savings as the retired annuitants are not eligible to receive any benefits other than their hourly rate. Staff recommends the City Council approve the attached resolutions authorizing the city manager to execute agreements with Jess Duff and Stuart Havlicek to provide temporary part-time employment. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
I just want to make sure that our new council members, they have met the proposed interim city council member. City manager, correct? Good. Just want to make sure.
I haven't met the mechanic, but I have some work to be done on my car.
That would not be good.
That would not be good. No. We open up public hearing on this? Public comment, excuse me. Anybody for a public comment on this item? Mr. Bowen, you need a mechanic. Oh, sorry. It's right here, sir, whenever you want it. We'll even put it in for you.
New council, good to see everybody. I just have one question. The new interim manager, when is the existing manager, what is his actual date that he's leaving? August is 30 days.
Middle of August.
Middle.
Yes.
A date?
I'm targeting August 19th.
Thank you. And also I noticed that $128.85 per hour for an interim manager. Wow. It's a pretty good gig for a retired person. So I hope we get a new person, a new highly qualified person as soon as we possibly can, especially at that hourly rate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Any other comments? Bring it back to the dais. Any comments from council regarding staff on this item, these two items? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2259 and resolution number 2260.
I'll second the motion.
Vote, please. Motion carries. Hold your buttons. We're good. We're on to public comments and or communications. Do we have no? What do we got? Oh, we item C. Where are we? Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh. Not that we have a stack here. I didn't realize that. Yes. Item C, Mr. Russi.
This item was requested on your behalf to be put on for consideration of how we can explore looking at the selection of mayor and going back to some form of at-large mayor. And the direction that we discussed was to get council's authority to bring back an analysis, have staff bring back some type of an analysis on what avenues were possible. At this point, state law does not allow for redistricting other than under 3 distinct exceptions, none of which at this point apply. So our suggestion, given that that was the conversation that was had, is to allow us to go explore what options might be available, provide counsel. It would probably involve legal counsel that specializes in this field to bring back scenarios, as well as what the possibility of whether it be legal challenge or other roadblocks might be in the way, and then allow counsel to take whatever action they feel is necessary at that point. But we just don't have the information at this point to guide you in what direction you may want to go.
Okay.
I'd like to comment on this.
Well, this was an item that Mr. Johnson had brought up and discussed it, and he wanted me to put it on the agenda just to see options we do have, or to look at it to see if it's even feasible or possible.
I mean, I was elected to District 1, and my campaign was strictly to restore the vote for an elected mayor. And that was 99.9% of what I was campaigning on, was to bring back the elected mayor. And I want to do this right, and I know there's only a few limited ways, under, these certain conditions. One is a court order to redistrict. The other is a change in the district boundaries. So any of those two, and let's see, the council setting a legal claim for district boundaries in regards to the Voting Rights Act. So what I first want to know is, I know in District 1 we want to elect the mayor. I don't necessarily know that in districts other than District 1. What I would like to have is a vote from all the residents, an advisory vote, not a vote to change it, because we can't legally do that. But I want an advisory vote from all the residents in Laverne to weigh in on this issue, because there's no sense in doing all of this and putting the work in it if residents don't want to do it. So that's what I am pushing for. We have a window right now, if we can get a ballot measure, an advisory ballot measure, done by August 12th, to be on the November ballot. That's what I am pushing for, is an advisory vote for the November ballot, asking residents, do you want to elect the mayor or not? Like I said, if we don't want to elect the mayor, if that's what residents want, then we keep it the way it is. But if residents are like District 1 residents, and like the whole city was in 1972, we want to elect the mayor for a 2-year term. That's what I'm pushing for. Do you have any other comments?
Cash.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Johnson, I think you're talking about, and for the people out there, I was referencing election code 21605. I won't get into full details. Please take the moment time to look at that. And then that's when it's talking about the redistricting and how we can be able to do that if we needed to. I can tell you this one thing, Mr. Johnson, that the folks that I've talked to in my district, in District 3 and throughout Laverne so far, have always voiced the same opinion. They would like to go back to at large as a whole. And I understand there's complexities of it, but just for the folks out there, please understand that Section 21605 of the Election Code and is what Councilman Johnson is referring to when it comes to new territories and other issues that pertain to redistricting. So thank you, Mayor.
So I just want to address the elections code. So the elections code is very specific in the 3 instances in which we can redistrict, which is part of what I understand would have to happen if we were going to go to an elected mayor. However, I don't know that because I'm not an elections attorney. That's not my purview. So I have no problem with exploring what the options are, but I am not necessarily interested in incurring the cost of putting it on the October or the November ballot if the legal opinion is going to tell us it doesn't. I hate to say this, but that we can't do it because it does. It's not a. From what I understand, it's not a cheap endeavor to get it put on the ballot. So I'd rather see what the legal parameters are, what what challenges we might face, so that we can explore that in its entirety before we even consider putting it on a ballot for consensus or information gathering from the residents. Because if at the end of the day we're going to be told we can't do it, then we've spent the money out of our coffers, which is essentially taxpayer money, to get an answer to something that we will have to pay an attorney for at this point to just get an analysis of whether or not we can even do that in the first place. And that will be, I think, less than what it would cost to put it on the ballot at this time. So again, not opposed to exploring what the options are, but I think the correct path would be to get the legal analysis, to get that information back so that this council can decide, is that the correct path to take or not take?
Mr. Crosby.
Thank you. I too agree with Councilmember Lau where we do not to spend the money to put on a ballot is and then if the residents vote yes or no, but then in turn that we can't even do that. That's what the fear of. We should get our council to weigh in and then be able to put it on the ballot. I was one that voted to have a mayor at large, so I see that point of having that. But what I don't want to do is put it on a ballot and then that where other people vote that then not be able to do if we can't do that in the first place.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. What is the estimated cost, and can we even get it on the ballot in November as an advisory vote?
Well, the initial cost, because I did inquire with the county, is $85,000 to $90,000. I don't have the exact number, but to do an advisory vote for November would be $85,000 to $90,000. Now, the second question, we don't even know exactly what the question is. There are that we would ask even in an advisory. So there's still some questions that I think legal counsel would have to come back with if that were to even be the case. I don't think spending that money will get you anything different than if you were to ask for a survey once you had a legal path. So if council desire was to ask us to go get the legal path to make this happen, you decided that you wanted to see what the interest was of the community, you could then do a citywide survey for much less than what it would be to do an advisory vote, and you would end up in the same place with nothing binding, but just good information on what the level of interest was within the community.
What would the first one we talked about, which was actually attorneys and counsel to see what options there are right now, as far as the options, what legality of the options are right now? What would be the cost of that?
I don't know. I'm going to guess $5,000 to $10,000, and it could be. It depends on. There's no path for this at this moment. So we're asking somebody to look at the election law, look at the California Voting Rights Act, and say what opportunities do you have falling within those two, and what is then the potential risk or exposure that you might be creating by opening that door. So that's the analysis that we would ask somebody to put something together. But I honestly can't tell you because it's not an easy just look at the law and say, here's how you do it.
I still think we should get a vote of the residents to know if we should be even going one direction or the other. When you talk about, I think you originally told me it was about $100,000 to do the special election or to take it to the voters. So I'm glad it's less than that. But using our current population, even at $100,000, that's less than $3.19 per person. So that is it worth $5 to vote for a mayor? I think it is, and the residents in District 1, I know, do think it is. At least that's what I was elected on. Now, the city has been very creative in the past by suing itself. The city has sued itself in the past to try to get these to court, to have the court make a decision. That was done even before I was on the council. I believe it was the redevelopment agency in the city sued itself to get a court order. Is that not right?
Validation of a bond action.
Yes, I mean, that's the validation action, but it depends on no one answering that complaint. And sometimes that's not the case.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
I've got attorneys in my law firm working on this issue now, and we hope to have a roadmap for the council as to simply what's possible. But it is, believe me, much more difficult than just throwing the old gear shift into reverse. Because if you go back to an elected mayor, then you're not going to have 5 districts, you're going to have 4. So that means that lengthy process that some of you sat through, I'd do that all over again, at a minimum. But there's the code section that seems to be limiting on the circumstances where you can actually do that. But I do have attorneys who know what the question is, and we're prepared to advise the council on the roadway and potential potholes.
My concern is we have a deadline of August 12th, and I want to beat that deadline as far as having the question at least submitted, even if we have to pull it at the last moment, but to get it to where we can get this on the November ballot.
Well,
so I guess can I have a question. So if the desire is to get the will of the people to find out what it is that they want, right?
Correct.
And you've already spoken to your district because that's what you campaigned on. I guess what is the obstacle, or maybe what is the hindrance in doing a survey like Mr. Rusty suggested, which would be more cost efficient? I personally think people would respond perhaps better to an online survey that could be distributed via links, that could be posted on, social media or whatever, and ask people to respond. And you might actually get better response earlier to get it engaged. Then we save more money by saying, okay, we won't engage legal counsel until we know that, hey, all the districts have sounded in and said, this proportion of the population in each district is interested in looking at this further, and then engage legal counsel and go down that path.
I think a survey would be great, but it doesn't carry the same weight that a vote of the people does. And if we did take this to court, then we would have the will of the people, at least in an elected fashion, for the court to consider. And I think that is very important.
And I guess my thought would be, in certain instances and in a lot of legal instances, the will of the people may not supersede what the law says, and that's part of the problem. And so that's why I want to know what are the possibilities for us, but do it in a way that is cost efficient, because we are stewards of the finances for this city. And while maybe 85, 90,000, when you break it down per resident to $5 a person isn't a lot, 85 to 90 is also the salary of potentially a police officer, a firefighter. So we're talking about that takes away from that. So if we can obtain the information in a way that is simpler, that is potentially will get more response, that isn't going to cost us what would amount to perhaps a salaried personnel, I'd like to explore that.
Not to mention, if you rush a decision, you don't have the benefit of if there are legal challenges that could come about, pitfalls, you don't have the benefit of time in understanding the implications of those before you push something forward. With a survey, there is no fuse that has to be done by August 12th or 13th or whatever the date is. You have time to get this information. If it's not sufficient information, you can direct us to go back and get more information, so that when the council decides that they want to do the survey, they know what questions they want to ask the public to be able to then know what the path is and what the risks are associated to that, if you even want to ask them that question.
I'm sorry, just suggesting, could we do a mailer to every resident? I mean, that way they could all get that piece of paper. Oh, I'm sorry. That way they all get that. Every resident can, and then they could send that letter back saying they want it or don't want it.
We could do the survey. I mean, that can be constructed
instead of online, because
right, we can construct that in multiple ways. That is certainly an option.
It's just
but
an option.
I think that gives you more time to really evaluate this more properly than to try and push this through for what amounts to a non-binding vote and spending $100,000, $90,000 in the process unnecessarily.
Well, I mean, we pride ourselves on being very frugal, and I was not happy with how the 5 districts came down. I was very verbal about it, and I thought that the election of a mayor was taken away from the people, and I mean, that's just what happened. And a lot of people weren't informed. You know, a lot of people I talked to in canvassing were, you mean I can't vote for you? No, you can't. Or can I vote, can't vote for mayor? No, you can't. You're going to vote for a council member in your district, or you don't vote for anyone because your district's not up right now. So it was kind of convoluted and confusing for a lot of people, which was very upsetting to me because we changed the way that we vote. And you know, there's one thing you don't do is you don't take the vote of the people away, ever. And that's not a good thing to do. I was very unhappy with that. Outcome was fine. I mean, you know, the chips fall where they may, but I don't necessarily like spending money from our city coffers, but we have had a number of expenditures that probably were the most frugal things that we've done in the past, and we have to sit on those and pay for those.
1972 resolution.
So we're at a point here. Now, do we go to public comment on this?
It's not necessary. It's certainly up to the council.
I can open public comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we done right now? Let's go to public comment.
It'll come back to us.
Yes, it'll come back. Open up public comment. Ms. Beauchamp.
I was one of the biggest advocates for having the people be able to vote for mayor, especially for those who live in districts that aren't eligible for re-election at this time. But with that being said, I would have to agree with Councilmember Lau and Crosby. I would rather see us save that $100,000 or whatever the costs may ultimately be and wait to see what happens with the City of Santa Monica case, because if that case is upheld, it will set the precedents. 21605 will no longer be a factor, and then the city can use that money for legality purposes to reverse the entire district voting, not just for the mayor, but for all districts. And we can go back to being the city of Laverne that we once were. Just a suggestion. And I also agree with Cash that we should do it as a survey to the residents, as a mailer, which should have been done to begin with. And it was done online, and a lot of other avenues should have been explored for notifying the residents about this district. And I hate to use your words against you, Rusty, but you know, you say you don't want to rush into a decision, but that's exactly what the district voting was. It was crammed down our throats in a 3-month period. And without that proper notification, residents, I think if we had more residents involved, I think the city would have really thought twice about doing what they did and voting the way that they had. So I will say that we shouldn't rush into this as much as Mr. Johnson wants to get it on the ballot. I do agree, though. I feel like a ballot is a more authoritative way of doing it rather than just a survey that has no bearing, you know, into the city, and you know what can get lost in the mail and you know piles up on somebody's desk here at the staff. But ultimately, I think we should wait, because we spend this money now, and then City of Santa Monica case is upheld, and then that would be additional funds. So why not just wait? We are happy that the council chose that Mr. Hepburn is going to continue to be our mayor, which is probably what the majority of the city would have voted for to begin with. So I don't feel like the city's in a bad place with the decision that's been made, but I think we need to be patient and be smart about how this money is spent going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beauchamp.
Council, Mr. Mayor, I don't know when this item got added to the agenda. Maybe I missed it, but I thought I was looking at the agenda. I agree. Rushing into something again, this last one was shoved down our throats. And the majority of the people that came here time after time after time said no. And 4 council people said tough. Two of those people are now gone. One of them voted out of office. So the people did speak in this last election. And they said, we don't want this. So, Mr. Johnson, I agree. Getting it on the ballot, giving us 30 days seems awful quick. I do find it fascinating that we're talking about the city attorney, I believe, just said that he's got people looking into it as an office. Didn't they look into it before they did it? Did somebody determine this was legal when it happened? The prior council said, we don't need to take it to the citizens. It's not up to them to vote. We can make that decision. 2 of them are now gone. We had a vote recently. The next vote is now 2 years away. So it seems like we do have some time to look into this instead of rush, spend a bunch of money and find out that maybe the Santa Monica ruling overturns it anyway. But we only had 5,546 people vote in this last election. That's sad. 40% of our people did not get to vote. How can that be acceptable by any of you? I believe the 5,546 number was damn close to what Mr. Hepburn won his mayorship 4 years ago. So we had no turnout. That's ridiculous. The citizens of this city want to vote. They want to vote for a mayor. I believe they would love to vote for all the council people. But stealing our right to vote is a crime. And I hope to hell it gets reconciled.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Any other comments? Yes. Ms. Kalusek.
So I always give a little bit different opinion on certain things. And state of California is the one that's forcing us to the district voting. I do agree with the previous council that if we had the 4 with the at-large, we would have one district that have a mayor and a council person living there. And there's very good potential that it could be people with their own special interests. You could even have maybe the owners of Sierra Laverne Country Club paying campaign for people in District 1, getting them on council and giving them an extra vote to vote yes for something like that. So, I mean, I think it does make it off balance, and I agreed with what the previous council voted because this is being forced down our throat. I'm getting a little tired of people saying, this was thrust on us and nobody knew about it. We had at least 5 meetings about it. We had 2 or 3 study sessions, and then it went to council. When they were doing the debates for the candidates, I don't remember who it was that said, you know, did you know about this? And people, oh, no. And several of us said, yeah, we knew. And somebody turned around and shouted, not everybody can go to council meetings. You don't have to go to council meetings. You can read the packet. You can watch meetings for the 2-week or 3-week period we have between meetings. I think that the people that don't know about it, you know, they need to get a little more involved because we can't spoon feed everything to everybody. In District 1, I know you're saying the people you canvass and talk to. I'm in District 1. I voted for Mayor Davis. And I've got nothing against you. We used to be neighbors, and I like you, Steve, and I like Lori. So it's not that. But anytime you go to someone's door and you say, did you know you can't vote for mayor anymore? They're going, oh, my God, kill those bastards. So, so my point is you can say to people, here's a survey. We could put it on Nextdoor. You are going to get 80% of the people because they are not informed. They don't understand. This isn't what our previous council did to this. It's a state of California thing. I agree with those that said we do need to not spend a big amount of money on this. We need to see what happens with Santa Monica. We need to see with other things, because I'd love it if it was all back to 5 at-large seats. That's what I want. But we don't necessarily have that option. Anyway, I know people are working on it. I just had to give a little bit different opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nothing like an entrance.
I know, man. I got to do one every once in a while.
Mr. Gill, have the floor.
The lady said that it's a California thing that we are districting. Show me the money. Show me the paperwork that says that, because there is none. I know, because I've looked at the paperwork. I've looked at the statutes. There is nothing that says that we have to go and district. Nothing. So unless she's got the paperwork in her purse and she can show me in the next 5 minutes, it ain't going to happen. Now, as far as us and the mayor and having us go ahead and get it to vote, I'm all down with a mailer and let every individual be notified. I'm fine with that. That's the coolest thing. There's been points in my life where senators have sent mailers to me, and they've said, hey, this is what's going to happen. Do you want to know about it? Do you want us to make change? How do you want me to do this? This is senators of the United States that have sent flyers to the people in their districts. They had no problem sending flyers, asking questions of their people. All he did was just go ahead and say, yep, 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 nope. Send it on back. Simple as pie. Flyers not that expensive. Pretty darn cheap from where I come from. And it can be done. So, all we have to do is just let the people know what's going on and make the changes when we need to. As far as Santa Monica is concerned, this is going to take a while. It's not going to be an overnight thing, and we've already seen that. So we can be sitting on our haunches forever. So we could sit and ride that horse, or we can let the people ask and find out now. I'd rather go ahead and find out now. Don't you agree?
Rich.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Carter.
I'm now a citizen. I understand I can actually speak at these events now. The concern that I have is, one of the things that's not being addressed is, with only 4 weeks, what's the impact to our current mayor? Does he resign? Does he get back to a 2-year cycle? All the impact. I don't think you can just put out an advisory vote that says, would you like to vote for mayor? I think you'll also include that this will redistrict to only 4 districts. With 4 districts, you will be reducing the impact of any of the minorities, which was one of the big things that we were trying to accomplish, is to give that minority vote more strength. Now, I would prefer 5 votes citywide, but nobody was able to come up with a solution that allowed that to happen. And to spend $85,000 or $95,000 with a ballot measure that may or may not address these issues, because it takes a while to get those proper verbiage in there before it's put on a ballot. Because if it just comes back and says, I'd like to vote for mayor, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that everybody gets to vote for mayor? Does it mean that District 1 gets to vote for mayor? So this is going to take some thought process, and I advise you to listen to your city attorney and staff and your council members to be aware that spending $100,000 to let it come back and say, this cannot be done, only creates more hardship and more difficulties between citizens who said, we should have been able to do it, why can't we do it? So my suggestion is that we continue to take a look at it, to see what means and measures can be done, or if it can't be done, then we go from there. But I think getting everybody riled up and saying, you want to vote for mayor, or just, I'm not even sure what your verbiage would be, but would you like to be able to vote for mayor? You may get a yes vote of 99% of the people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are able, as the city council, to do that without going out, doing all the redistricting, doing all the work that just at least 3 of you on here did before, and I'm sure the 3 of you will inform the 2 new members that was a challenge. Whether you voted for it or against it, it was still a challenge. You spent hours and hours and weeks on public meetings and information. So just wanted to provide my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry.
I would hate for one of the first acts of the city council to be to make a decision to rather fecklessly spend a rather large amount of money. I think a decision has been made. I think it's entirely possible to send out a mailer to everybody to which people can respond or not respond the way people do when they're invited to vote for a person for office or not vote. And I, as one of the people who did not vote in elections, would love to have an opportunity to be able to weigh in with my opinion on this. I think another mistake that we sometimes make in public comments is to think that the people who are the loudest people in the room are the most right people in the room and they have everybody on their side. We don't know how everybody feels. And we don't know, in fact, we do know that 100% of the people in District 1 did not all vote for Mr. Johnson. Some of them, in fact, close to 50% voted for Mr. Davis, and there must have been some reason for that to occur as well. So I think we need to ask everybody's position on this and then take it from there in a measured way. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Anyone else like to speak on this? Lily.
Good evening, Lily Breno, me again. So for this district voting things from last year, I start from the beginning, come here over and over, because actually I learned about that. It start from the voting right, if we still have the voting right. For my history, actually I come from communist country. We didn't really know what is called voting, never. But since my husband was not very happy vote for me for the president, he didn't want to vote, I figured I have to vote by myself. So I become citizen after 10 years later. Actually, I already live in Laverne 17 years. Before I come to the meeting, before I came to school board, I make very good money, 100,000 online consultant. So why I give up that money? That money, I think, is more than the amount you guys mentioned just now, right? I make more than that. Why I feel so important I come here? The first meeting I come here, probably like a lawsuit, fire department, pretty much very big number about the lawsuit. How big? $100 million thing, okay? Go to insurance, whatever, I don't know, but that's let me pay attention about politics. What's happening in the city, I'm going to retire. My kids grow up, born and grow up. That's brought my attention. So since then, my husband went back to work. Okay, he make that money. I focus my 2 kids and come to city council meeting, school board meeting over and over from last 3 years. So why I say it's so important for me. I'm glad today mayor become mayor again, right? The last elect mayor and the first rotate mayor. So that is already says the voice from the people. And he get a very historical high percentage of voting. And then I remember the last time he pretty much close to 10,000. That is really, really very big turnout. That is already says the voice of the Laverne citizen. So now I'm not really happy. I'm not get chance to vote for him. I'm not get chance to vote for Cash, but I vote for Johnson. Actually, Stephen Johnson, I barely know you before, but I really impressed because he really knocked door to door. And then I met him on the street too. And then my whole street neighbor, we vote for 2 colors, right? Okay, blue or orange together. I still said, even though we vote for different people, we still good neighbor. So our street is very good neighborhood. So why I so concerned this? Because I am so glad Stephen Johnson brought up the first meeting when he sit here today, keep his promise. I'm so happy and I'm glad I vote for you because you keep your promise. For the most people vote for you. Because when you talk to people, you even knock the door twice, the whole district. I'm so impressed because I am the social media person. I have a group, I have a page. I'm so active on the Facebook, Nextdoor, or any other social media. I could see the voice. People so confused, so mad, and so frustrated about we're no longer vote for anybody, mayor, city council. They have no clue about that. So what I understand, why it's so important for me, actually my family have 4 people. We all have different opinion. We belong to probably different party, okay? So, but they support me come here to comment for the city issue from the beginning, from the Y Avenue, right? I knocked a door for the Y Avenue issue. So that's why I'm so happy we work it out. We really want, and then we don't widen it. I'm happy as city manager and Mrs. Carton, Robin Carton, right, about Y Avenue. I really feel like, oh my gosh, in America, a great country, a small voice like me, but we add together, we have hundreds petition, and then went through all the meeting, and then finally we keep our small properties safe, old town, old-fashioned style, and then not get widened and become a driveway, fast race. So that's what I understand. The small voices add together could be very big because we are really, really no longer. I can tell it's losing this right in America, in California. So I think I am just not only present myself, it's present so many people just like me. We have no clue about politics, we have no clue about the community, or we don't even know city council has to do so many work. We respect all your work. So why not just, we have the opportunity, the deadline is October 12th. Actually, I feel like 2-3 months we could get a lot of things done. Get a survey on the city council, a city page, right? People go on Facebook, get a survey. Now we get the opportunity to have this one. Do you want to yes or no? Very clear, we can see the vote on the page. And then, of course, we get the papers from city. Every citizen possible could get a survey very quick. 1, 2, 3, design very good question. Do you agree with this, spend this money to put on the ballot? Do you agree? Do it. We get opportunity. If finally people say no, fine, okay, but at least we have a chance to do that. I don't like the people get shut down because we come for a complaint or a comment about the district voting from last year. As I know, 90% people like me, we sit here, we can hear most people come here say no, we don't want it. Very few people come here or call from Zoom say yes. That voice is 80-90%, as I know.
Lily, can we finish it up?
Yeah,
please.
It's already more than 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Anybody else? Please, come on up. Oh, there's a hand raised there. Thomas Allison.
Thank you. I'm Cynthia Tyner. We're talking about a large amount of money to reverse this, which is what I would prefer. Or we're also talking about a little tiny amount of money to send out mailers. Either way, whether we send out mailers and they cost $1 or whether we spend $100,000, I feel that taking the vote away there is no amount of money that can justify that. Now, whatever happens, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but whatever becomes of this or however it ends, even if we sent out the $1 mailer, that should have never happened. And if we do, the new council should not be blamed for that money to be spent. I say it is the past council that decided against what I saw, a majority of people in here for the several meetings that I came to. That responsibility lies on them for that money to be spent, because that was something that happened without consideration of the people of the community. Thanks.
Thanks, Cynthia. Anyone else? We have a hand raised. Ms. Butler.
I'll try to be very brief. I think one of the issues that everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but a lot of us have, is the optics of different things done by the city council for different measures. For example, when there was interest on the previous council for a tax increase, I do not know the specifics, but I think maybe a 4-color multi-page brochure was created and mailed to each household or voting household. And that measure passed. I think the council wanted the additional dollars. I don't know whether it was the best idea, but they informed the people and it passed. When we were considering one of the most important things about this city in changing the way the districts were aligned, whether we had districts or not, in exploring districts, not a thing was sent to every household, not a thing. Information was put on Twitter, on Facebook, and Laverne has a huge population of retired people who probably never go on the computer. And so the optics of those two things, I think, concern a lot of people, and also the optics of the fact that there was a consultant for the redistricting. I don't think people felt that the input for the districts was well vetted, so to speak. So I think there was a lot of dissatisfaction about what seemed to be a rush to judgment. I also have a question about the legal exploration we're going to do. My experience is every lawyer has a different opinion. So what legal counsel are we going to look into this matter? Is it legal counsel that's objective? Is it legal counsel that has an agenda? I don't know legalities enough to make a comment. But those are my two issues, the optics of the two initiatives that were done so differently by the same city council and the best advice of legal counsel. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. Ms. Berry, and then we've got Thomas Allison on the line, is that correct, for a hand raised?
Okay, sorry. I'll keep it short because I'll probably forget what I was going to say anyway. So a couple of things. I have gotten a survey from the city in the past, and I don't even remember what the issue was. It was an online survey, but I do remember that the questions and the, point A to B to C, whatever, it felt so much like it was trying to get you to a set end, that there was a set preferred response that the city wanted. So if there is a survey, I would ask that it be very open. We want to know what you think. We're not going to give you little bits of information to try to make you go this way or that way. Ask the question. And I do feel it needs to be something in the mail because there are so many people that, my mother, the only thing she gets online for is to look at eagles' nests and earthquake little monitors. That's her thing. But there's
Pandas.
a lot of people that
Pandas
don't.
and eagles.
Yeah, right? So that would be the two things, is mail, and then make it very, don't lead anybody. Just here's the question, here's what we had, here's what we got, what do you want? And then as far as the legal questions, I don't know all the laws, but it seems like that there were challenges, that those are things that can be looked at. And I know that the one HOA up in Sierra Laverne, they broke the rules of what was described to us when we went to all those meetings about communities of interest. And you don't divide up a neighborhood, you don't divide up a community, and they went right down the middle of an HOA. So there are legal issues. There's also the legal question of when we began to go for at-large mayor, that was by a vote of the people back in the 70s. So in this case, we went and took the vote of the people that we want an at-large mayor, and then we took all these comments from people who said the same thing, and then the council voted to break it up and make it a rotation. So then is there a legal factor there to kind of overrule what the people had asked for? So those are just my things to consider.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Shall we go to Thomas Allison?
Good evening, Council. Unfortunately, I, like Mr. Bowen, reviewed the agenda and I didn't see this issue on it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have left. But I have to suggest that I think we've lost our way rather quickly. I understand the logic of Mr. Johnson winning being an electoral critique of the status quo. But I don't think that that status quo means an abdication of his responsibility to be an appropriate steward of public funds. To just throw $85,000 at an issue that can ultimately be a legal dead end is a gross and irresponsible use of funds. As a District 1 resident, I would prefer $80,000 be used to protect our cross guard, who gets almost run over every single day. I would prefer our sidewalks by City Hall be fixed so that I don't trip and fall on my runs around the neighborhood. That is an appropriate use of public funds. But to just grandstand and throw almost $100,000 at this issue just because it was a single issue that he was elected on is irresponsible. And any council member who votes consistent with this is also irresponsibly using public funds. And I'm almost flabbergasted that we've gotten here so fast already. So I urge this council to exercise the discipline that it has over this time, the reason why Laverne is in the financial position that it is, and not throw $85,000 at this irresponsible process. Heck, we wouldn't even take a free audit. Why would we? Never mind. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this? We're going to bring it back up to the dais for. I do have a couple comments. I do take offense to responsible, not being responsible. I was called not responsible when I suggested the fire department at Station 3 for a budget of $1.3 million to reactivate that fire department and put the proper staff in place. That was not irresponsible. It was a plan that was designed by the fire department itself, so I don't care for that. But I will say that I think that coming out of the gate right now, it's a little sensitive subject for the fact that not a lot of us are happy with 5 districts, because I think that it was the company that did it and how it was done was poorly done. It was not televised, as we've said before, and I've said that in public. But I think at this point right now, I think we need to step back. I think we need to, I think I like the mailer, but make it very poignant, very, very, very to the point. Yes or no, an elected mayor, and maybe another couple items on there, not a direction to push people in a direction right or left, but to be just point blank. Do a survey of other people and let them make the decision, and let our legal counsel review this to see what we can do. I think our time, although I do agree with Mr. Johnson, I didn't like it either. I think it was a vote taken away from the people, but at the end of the day, we're here now. There's a lot of decisions being made. The Santa Monica decision, whether they unravel this or not, we're here where we are. I think we should move forward and find out what the avenues we have in order to move forward with this, to see what avenues we have to look at this down the road. We do have a few years, and the problem with November, it's tight. That's a tight frame, and we've got a lot of things. We've got an outgoing manager. We're going to have to search for a new manager. We're going to look for a finance director. We've got other things going on in the city, and I just think that our timing right now should be spent with our legal counsel to find out avenues, what we can do. I think the mailer is very important to see the pulse of the people. I think that's extremely important because, as anyone knows, I'm transparent. I want to know, and the will of the people is very important to me. And if this unravels down the road, then it unravels. But if it doesn't and we have to go forward, then we'll have to figure out a way to do that. But I do think that we need to go the cautious route. And again, I will say that Mr. Johnson's motion or his request is very valid. I think that just we need to do it in a little more cautious fashion. That's my own personal opinion. I think we need to, again, do our survey, let our legal counsel look at it, see what's there, what's not there, And look what other communities are doing, because these things are going to change and morph, and that's my personal opinion. Any other council opinions or comments?
So I know it's getting late, and I just want to be clear on what our action item is. It's not a motion, but it's a direction to staff, correct? About what the path forward should be.
Yes, and I would suggest, based on some of the comment, if it is, I still think bringing back some legal analysis path, however you want to describe it, is the first step. But in conjunction with that, we can also bring together a budget for doing a mailer and what that would cost, and then get a request at that later time, an appropriation as well, to then move forward with that, because that would be the next phase that we would want to pursue.
And I would be in agreement with that. So I think concurrent to what the mayor has indicated, legal analysis, please come back with a budget for what it looks like to send a mailer out, how that is addressed, so that, to Ms. Berry's point, that the questions aren't leading, that they're appropriate, et cetera, whatever, so that you can truly get the pulse of the people, et cetera. Is there an option for mailer and online? Look at, and I'm not trying to create more work, but I am sensitive to the fact that some people do use computers, some people don't. So how do we reach whoever everybody that needs to be reached in an appropriate manner? So if you can come back with that, I think that would be helpful.
I think a mailer on the water bill. Everybody gets it anyway. That's one way to do it. But we have
I would
to
be very careful about that. I think this needs to be independent.
Independent
because,
by
because
itself?
a lot of people get it online. So
We'll figure it out. We'll come back with the decision.
Well, one other concern I would have with a mailer or some other type of online venue is, how do you prevent people from voting more than once? I mean,
we can let us come back. I hear your concern. I think there's a way to avoid duplication, but let us go back, do some research, and bring back a budget for you.
Okay. I had one final comment. Mr. Carter, I appreciate your comment. Also, Mr. Bowen, very disappointed in the turnout. My problem with putting it on the November election also is the fact that who's going to vote? I mean, seriously. We have to be serious about this. Forget about giving us our right to vote for a mayor. How about our right to vote for people in office, period? Look at how many people turned out in Laverne. It was pathetic. I mean, I hate to say it, it's pathetic. That's our constitutional right to vote, and it's very important that we do that. And so we put it on the November ballot, and we get a short response out of 32,000 some people. It's crazy. Anyway, so.
And voting's low when it's a non-presidential election.
Very true,
so
but it's still very low.
My biggest concern is giving undue expectations. If we cannot legally do it, but we put out for a vote or put it out for a survey, and then the expectations of our citizens are one way when we can't do that in the first place. I want to make sure our expectations are given out to our people, what they cannot do. So that's my biggest worry, my biggest concern, is that if we can't legally do it, but the expectations, then it's really steering our residents down a dead-end road when there's no exits. And so I want to make sure, by having legal advice, what that off-ramp could be for them.
Well, I think, though, the districting is a 10-year cycle. So we've got roughly 9 years left in that cycle, since it was voted in November of last year. An advisory vote allows us, when we do have an opportunity, if there is an annexation of land or other viable legal way to make that change to 4 districts and an elected mayor, it gives us that authority that's from the residents. And that's what a vote would give us. We would have that in place in case we annex a piece of property, and boom, we can do it.
Change the metrics.
Yes,
we're not there yet, though. We're not there. We're just not there. But I think, are we in concurrence, council, that we give our staff direction to look at the legality of it, and also look at the fact of some type of a mailer to find out the temperature of our residents and
But
figure out the best way to do that.
My concern is that a mailer may not be the official way to get that authority.
We'll have to figure that out down the road, right?
Regardless, you may end up having to take it to a vote of the people, but
At least
that's
we have
still
the ground.
advisory vote doesn't get you there anyways. You may need some other action by the at-large electorate later. So we just don't know at this point.
Council? Are we in concurrence that we should let staff move ahead with what we discussed?
I'm fine with it.
Mr. Johnson? I know you're not happy with it, but...
I'm not happy.
I know. But I think we need to move forward at this time with what we've got here.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's move to...
And Mr. Mayor, I'll just note that somebody raised their hand after it already went back to the dais. I did not bring them in because it was after the public comment portion was closed on that item.
I think we're going to have to keep it closed. Unfortunately, we're running late now. We have now moved to public comment. I have Sherry Best. Here, Sherry, just take it, please. Just take it. Go ahead. Just please.
I don't like the optics of that.
Hey, there's no strings attached. We have Ron Nicholas. He's been waiting patiently back there. Good evening, Mr. Nicholas.
Thank you. I became a resident of Laverne in 1988, and for 3 reasons. I wanted a place that was safe for my family. Laverne offered that. A good educational system, one of the best in the area, and also a beautiful city. Now, if I were choosing now, I would also add that Laverne has wonderful people, and terrific council and leadership, so I appreciate that. Just briefly about myself, I'm a big picture person. In the 1980s, I served as Director of Strategic Planning for a large national organization. Later, I served 2 decades as the President of Educational Services International. We placed teachers in educational programs in 15 countries, among them China, Russia, Vietnam, Morocco, Turkey, and others. So I like the big picture. I know we have to do with details, and my wife is way better at that, and I know you have a lot of details to do with, but tonight I want to talk about the big picture. In 50 years of management, one of the most important things I learned is that your first task is to determine what's most important and do that first. What's job one? So that's what I want to talk to you about. I don't know how this is done, but I'm calling for the leadership of Laverne to conduct what I'm calling a comprehensive security review. Comprehensive security.
If you could address
review.
if you could address the council, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I will. Why is it important to do a comprehensive security review for the city of Laverne? 3 reasons. Number 1, I think it's a good thing to do about every decade, once every 10 years. And I don't think we've ever really done it once, not a comprehensive security review. Correct me if I'm wrong. The second reason why I think it's important is one word, Uvalde. You may think it's late. It's really about 3 minutes, till midnight. 3 minutes till midnight. And it's not just Uvalde. You know about Sandy Hook and Parkland. And there's a list of some 100 school shootings in the last 20 years. The third reason is that my 3 daughters all went to Bonita schools, and now I have 6 grandchildren. They're not in the city, but I care about them and the kind of world that they're going to inherit. what is a comprehensive security review? And I've only got a couple of minutes left. This is my short list of what might be included. Obviously, it's going to be to look at how the police might react to a great big problem like they had in Uvalde or others, or how the fire department is prepared to deal with the next horrendous fire that might come to Laverne. But it might also look at things like security issues related to the mentally ill people that are around our community, or security issues related to the homeless, or perhaps there could be toxic waste or chemical issues that could threaten our city. There could be biomedical leak in our city. There could be a train derailment. There has been plane crashes in the past at Brackett Field. The big earthquake will happen sometime, and we need to know the risks and to be prepared. Is our electrical grid really secure, or is there a risk to that? Is there potential contamination of water or the air? Or might there be catastrophic shortages of water, and what risk is that to us, and what would we do? Could there be a political takeover of our city? Do any of you remember the city of Bell and what happened there and the financial failure that happened in that city? There could be cyber internet attack. There could be domestic terrorism. There could be gangs. There could be prison escapes. There could be insufficient medical facilities or insufficient paramedics to respond to 911. This is my short list, and I hope you would make up your own list. But do you get the idea of what a comprehensive review is? A lot of things are urgent, and we want them to happen, but I'm calling on you to think about what's important. Do you think the citizens of Uvalde would have wished that they had done something like this before that happened there? We got to get ahead of these things, and we can by doing a comprehensive review. You could make the list. So here, quickly, is the process. Number one, you would appoint a task force or
if we could,
I know, 1 minute.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay. Appoint an appropriate group to deal with this, identify the comprehensive list of security issues, prioritize the top 10 of those, design investigative tools, plan a firm timeline to, I would say, 10 months, review security issues, and select the top 3 most important security problems that we face, and then assign groups to work on those. And then
if you could wrap it up, sir.
Fix the top 3, and next fix the top 10.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much for your time. Although now I'm extremely depressed, but other than that, I'm fine. That anybody else for public comment? Ms. Beauchamp. JR, we could bring the person back on for public comment. Okay, thank you.
I know it's late. Everybody's tired. I'm going to make it quick. I want to say...
You're having beer and tacos? What?
Come on down.
Margaret, your parents will be happy.
Hey, I make some damn good tacos.
Yeah, you do.
I'd like to welcome the new members of the council, and I just want to give a fair warning that you're in for a treat for us residents that take these things extremely seriously. Those of you that have attended meetings in the past know that I speak on nearly every item, so you will be sick of me quickly. So I'm sure Carter and Ms. Carter and Mr. Davis are glad that they're off there. They don't have to listen to me anymore. But at the last meeting, there was a comment made that really resonated with me, and it said that they hoped that the residents' comments would no longer be negative. And I just want to establish now, for your very first meeting, that part of the reason our comments are negative is because the city fails to respond to us residents, whether it's email, phone calls, voicemails. For example, I have asked Mr. Russi for a copy of the presentation that Chief Nig did that was presented on the PowerPoint with the study session prior to the decision that was made that the city would remain with Laverne Fire Department. I have yet to receive that presentation. There is a homeowner in our city who has requested 4 times, and she has sent it to 13 people, each individual council member and many of the staff, 4 different times, and has not received any response other than received. They haven't answered her questions. They haven't given her any documentation, nothing. So when you hear the negativity and the anger and the disgust in our voices, it is because these are the things that we are dealing with. So I hope that the new council members will, maybe help in that regard, that going forward, respond to the residents, engage with them, talk with them, even if it's after a meeting, and get a feel for what really needs to be done. And that, I think, is one of them. And that costs $0 to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beauchamp. You want to go to the caller? Yes, Yvonne. Yes, you may.
First of all, Mr. Nichols, I applaud you for bringing those things up to council. I deal with emergency management every day, disaster recovery, so I see these things happening, and it is not for the better when cities or state and local governments are not prepared.
Yvonne, this way.
Sorry.
This way.
Okay, so real reason I came up here is I wanted to welcome Mr. Kashipalgita. I'll get it right. Kashipalgita. And Mr. Johnson to council. And I wanted to thank you for stepping in to continue the work, right? The legacy of Laverne City Council and Robin and Miara, and especially what they've done in their service. There is a lot of work to do. I think the last hours really, shown that, right? Anyways, there's a lot of work to be done. I think that we can get the job done by continuing, the tradition of working together. Never forget that you are our neighbors and you're our friends, and you were elected to represent and serve the people of your district and the city of Laverne. Not an individual, not a group, right? But the people who have voted for you in your district, right, because of district voting. So whether you are on the dais, or in closed session, we expect that you will be professional, constructive, and respectful to one another, and to the residents of the city. Thank you, welcome, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Yvonne. Anyone else? We will move to the phones. You have 2 people. To the Zoom.
Try the second person.
Did Brittany drop off?
This is Thomas again. Thank you for hearing me again. I do want to apologize for my tone in the last comment. It did drop below the threshold that I like to maintain for public decorum. So please excuse me for that. I don't walk back my use of the word irresponsible. I think idiosyncratic sensitivities toward terms shouldn't result in an inaccurate conflation of issues. And those are 2 completely unrelated issues. So if there were offense taken by my use of the word, there just shouldn't have been offense taken by it. I do also want to echo the words of Ms. Beauchamp. Welcome to our new council members. Looking forward to working with you. I'm grateful to see a little bit more diversity. Looking forward to the work that gets done. I also echo the sentiments of Mr. Nichols. It would be great if the council had a vision for what the city is looking forward to in the next century. Things have drastically changed. The world is evolving. what does Laverne look like? What does Mayberry look like in the 21st century? I think there needs to be a vision and some actual steps to make sure that we're headed in that direction, coming from the dais, not necessarily just from staff. So welcome, new council members. Good night, everybody.
And I've invited the other person in, but they have to accept.
We'll give them, should I put on the Jeopardy music?
Let's try it twice.
We're going to give this last call because it's Mihai Risden.
That's a new name.
I haven't seen them before. I'd like to hear what they had to say, but for another day.
Yep.
Nothing?
Not accepting, sir.
Then can we please contact them tomorrow and get with the information they want so we can send it out to council?
We should have their registration.
Okay. If we could get that to council, please, so make sure they get the
We've
information.
got one last.
Oh. Valerie Munoz. It's the most exciting thing.
Good evening. Can you hear me? This is Valerie Munoz. Hello.
We got you.
Okay. I hear an echo. My apologies. Hi. Good evening. My name is Valerie Munoz, Mayor Pro Tem for the City of La Puente. First of all, I just want to thank all of the new council members newly appointed and tonight's meeting, and such an eventful meeting at it so far. First, I just wanted to introduce myself as Councilmember from City of La Puente, but most importantly, your representative on the San Gabriel Basin Water Quality Authority, representing cities with non-pumping rights. I wanted to invite you to join me for a tour briefing of groundwater cleanup activities in the San Gabriel Basin. Tours are around 90 minutes in length. They're at your leisure and your convenience. And it just talks about the local cleanup water affordable cost here and the importance that we have with our constituents here at the basin. San Gabriel Basin Water Quality Authority is a special district created by the state legislature back in 1992, and the plan was to facilitate cleanup efforts. A lot of people don't realize that the basin here in the San Gabriel Valley has around 169 square miles and approximately holds around 8.6 million acres of drinking water, which will serve approximately 1.4 million in the San Gabriel Valley. We're one of the largest Superfund sites in the nation, with over $500 million in settlements that we have received to clean up our basin, and that is paid for by federal funding as well as responsible parties. So our goal is to ensure that we keep our ratepayers from not being overly charged for any of the cleanup efforts. I've emailed the city clerk some information with my direct contact, and I hope to hear from each of one of you so I can set up a tour. We would love to have you at the Water Quality Authority. Thank you so much.
Are we done now? Okay. We'll move it up to the dais. Council comments.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, just a moment. I just want to, this was a very complex agenda to put this together with all the elements that were included as far as the swearing in, the outgoing council, plus the items that were here. And I think Lupe Estrella and Deborah Fritz are offered, should be provided with a little bit of thanks for the work that and the effort that they did in putting that together. Oh.
But that's okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, then I will leave it to you. My apologies. Go right ahead.
I just want to say that this agenda here doesn't come together with just one individual. And I want to say that there's contracts, there's details, there's employment contracts, there's salary adjustments, there's just a multitude of agreements that Lupe and Deborah put this stuff together, but every single member of the staff of Mr. Russey's is involved with this, and this takes a lot of hours and efforts. And not only that, as the mayor, you could call me inquisitive. I ask many questions, and those questions are answered, and generally in the fashion that are acceptable, which is most of the time, which has to do with contracts, which has to do with labor increases, rates increases, making sure that our salary charts are showing before and after, things of that sort, that our residents get the information and can compare. And they do an amazing job. Yes, they're employees. Yes, that's what they get paid for. But like Lupe and Deborah go above and beyond the call of duty, and every other member, Assistant City Manager, Mr. Russi, our Chief of Police, our Community Services Manager, Community Development Director, everyone in the city works hard. But these things don't come to us without a lot of work. And they answer the questions. And yes, we drive them crazy. I can tell you right now, I drive every one of the directors crazy. But there are questions that, as a resident, I want to know for you guys. And if I'm not comfortable with it, then we go to the next step and find out what the issue was and make sure that you get the right information. So I think, and thank you. They go above and beyond, and especially Deborah. I think Lupe's still back there, isn't she? She is. Yeah. She's eating pizza, but we didn't get any, but whatever. Anyway, I guess we're on public comment, aren't we? Council comments. I'll just finish. I want to say that I already started. I might as well finish. Sorry, guys. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate my support. I appreciate you putting me on as mayor, but also the fact that we've got a lot of work to do. We're not done yet. We're going to have a new city manager. Bob's going to be leaving us. Again, thank you to Muir and Robin. Excellent job. I really appreciate serving with you guys and working with you. Wasn't always perfect, but we got the job done, and our city's a much better place because of your efforts. Bob, same as you. I know we'll have time to comment, but I welcome Mr. Kashifagita, and I welcome Mr. Johnson, not strangers. And I welcome Wendy Lau and Rick Crosby. You don't have a new position, but he's got a new seat over here. Yeah, we play in rotation here. But I'm looking very forward to this. I'm looking very forward to the next number of years. We've got a lot of challenges, but our city's healthy because of our previous council and what we've done, and I think we're going to move forward in a very good fashion. And everybody just be safe out there. And Mr. Nichols, thank you. I don't usually comment, but as a city, we have a lot of things in place. Obviously, all of us can always do better, especially if the situation in Uvalde, but we have things in place for our safety of our residents and in our schools that are probably better than most. But again, we should always review those, and you're right. We should always review those, and we can always probably do better to make sure we're even safer. But thank you for your points. I do appreciate that. And I know your list was longer. You can come to any meeting and keep telling us, but I think the staff got it, and I'm sure the police chief's listening, our fire chief, and thank you. Council, who wants to start? Got to turn it on.
Yeah, turn it on. Okay. I'm like I said, I'm glad to be back on the dais. There are issues that I want to see get followed through with, and I won't let up. But again, I just want to thank residents who elected me, and I'm here to do your bidding. And my phone number and email will be available on the city's website. So please, if you have a concern, I'm available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Cash.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate you. I look forward to serving our city. I also look forward to Mr. Nichols. Public safety is very important to me. I lived it my entire life. I understand what a comprehensive security review is. I'm looking forward to maybe creating a public safety committee like other cities have and getting people together all as one, working as a village, because this is what it takes. I can't figure this out myself. So I do need your help. Get some inputs, how we can get better, how we can keep you safe. I can't protect everybody at all times, but if we all can get together, figure out how we can respond to the next COVID situation that might happen to us, or a big fire, whatever we could do, utilizing means of communication. I'm open for it. I'm always open for a cup of coffee, right? I'm always open. Just let me know. Please let me know. I appreciate you, and I understand that. I wrote down several things. At the end of the day, I don't see anything as really negative. I see it as frustration, but I also see it as an opportunity to have a open line of communication, but let there be an open line of communication. Don't shut me down. I don't shut you down. I have thick skin. So let's talk about it, how we can get there together. No problem. Water under the bridge. Life is too short. So let's work together. Okay?
Councilmember Cash, Lupe just told me that she appreciates my comments, but she wishes she had pizza because she's hungry, so you might want to hurry up.
I'm sorry, Lupe.
Sorry,
and
Lupe.
I apologize.
Let
but
the cat out of the bag.
Thank you. But please, again, I'm always available.
I get to say thank you, Councilmember Cash.
Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson. And now Councilmember...
Thank you. Just really quick, I know it's been a minute since we've all been in this room together, so I'll make it quick. But I did want to extend a big thank you to everybody who made this year's 4th of July celebration a success. And that would not have happened without our fire, our police, our facilities, our maintenance crews, our staff, our 4th of July committee. They put a lot of work into that. Also, if you're ever interested in the band, which was new this year because our old band is retiring, and why am I blanking on the name? The answer. Thank you. I was like, thank you. That's
you want the answer
to the answer? Yes. So thank you to all the folks that made it possible. If you are interested in participating in things like that, please don't hesitate to ask, because you can participate in things like the 4th of July committee. Also, just wanted to reiterate the comments that were made at the top, which was, I feel, a long time ago, but Laverne Little League, it is amazing that we have both boys baseball and girls softball advancing. That's a pretty big deal. And I don't have kids, but I have lots of friends with kids. And one of those kids is going to play in Oakland on Friday. And it's not lost on me how much is work that parents have to do to make these things happen for their kids. And not everybody is so lucky or so privileged to be able to juggle, their work schedule, their cars, how am I going to get my kid there? How are we going to pay for the hotel once we get there? All of these things. So as the mayor indicated, if you have $5, $10, please consider donating to Laverne Little League so that the kids can get there and some of the burden can be relieved from the families, especially those that may not have the means to do so on their own. I think the other thing is, if you can't give money, maybe it's your neighbor, maybe you watch their dog while they're away taking their kids to this tournament, or to the championship game. So just something to think about. The other thing is, we've had our first in-person CASI meeting, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, on the 5th. And so it was really nice to be able to see everybody. Those are open and welcome to everyone as well, so please feel free. But there are lots of ways to get involved. I love seeing everyone here, but I don't want people to think that this is the only way to get involved, because everybody's got different schedules and everything else. So that is all for me. Be kind, be safe, and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Councilmember Lau. One quick go back. As Councilmember Lau stated, the boys and girls are separate, obviously, so they're separate GoFundMe pages. So be sure, if you're going to do that, make sure you get on the site. Number 2, the fireworks were amazing. The band, The fireworks were amazing, honestly. Probably the best fireworks show I've ever seen, and that's bar none. So, Councilmember Carter, Councilmember Lau, band, the fireworks, awesome. They were awesome, so thank you. Mr. Crosby.
Yeah, so we still have our 11 and under boys still playing. They've not. They're in the regionals right now as well. 4th of July was awesome. Last weekend, I got to honor Autism Spectrum Athletics. They've been around for 10 years. Their motto is where awesome and amazing happen. So we got to, they had their 10-year anniversary party at the Laverne Pool, and it was just an amazing time. We had from Barger's office, from Portantino's office, and Holden's office recognizing them for their work. Manny Zapata is the lead and of that league, and it's just been thousands of autistic kids going through their last 10 years, and it was just a great event to be at. There are a couple things on the agenda tonight I want to make sure and highlight. Jesse Duff, thank you and welcome. Appreciate you coming in and stepping up. We also passed 2 great things for our safety: purchase a reserve ladder truck and our license plate reader for our Laverne PD. Those 2 things are going to help and make sure our city is safe. So really appreciate that. Welcome, Councilmember. I'm going to say it. No, I will not do that because it is your name from your father, and I will always make sure to get that. Mr. Kasufigita. And Councilmember Johnson. Welcome to the council, and appreciate you two being on this council. The mayor has gave me the honor to adjourn our meeting. We're going to come back next Monday at 6:30 for a presentation of the fire department standard of coverage and community risk assessment by a consultant. So next Monday, July 25th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. And want to adjourn our meeting. Councilmember Carter and I got to go to a memorial service last Saturday to a San Gabriel Valley icon. The council member, Mayor Pro Tem, passing of Duarte is Zaidal Karachi. She was elected in office in 2001 and served in Duarte as the mayor 4 times in 2006, 2011, 2015, and 2019. She was the first Filipino American elected to city council and became the longest sitting United States Filipino American municipal elected official in office. She was a trailblazer and a community leader as she was elected by her colleagues to the National League of Cities Board of Directors, as well as the League of California Cities Board and president of the Asian Pacific American Municipal Officials. One of her proudest accomplishments was initiating the Mayor's Youth Council to help students become familiar with engaged with government. She's an inspiration to all the people in San Gabriel Valley and the Filipino American community. Our deepest condolences from Laverne to the Parasis Karachi family and the city of Duarte for their loss. And so thank you so much and appreciate all of you guys tonight.
We adjourn. 10:06. Thank you, everybody.